Everybody, it's time to say goodbye to a team here in Phase 2. Yeah. We already lost some teams in the play-ins back in Phase number 1. And the number 2 seeded team in Brazil has had a rough go of it. Let's start with talking about E1 as they go up against Cyclops Athlete Gaming.
Yeah, so one thing, right? We started casting them here to be in Phase 2 together, and you said Ems is the man to look out for, and I said Arthur is the main guy. They're the bottom 2 worst-rated players in this entire tournament so far for teams that are still here. Massive poop. Not great, right? And those are the big hype players that we talk about. If they're not showing up, of course, they're not going to succeed.
They're 2 of the lower-rated players on the team through this event. Emts, as we talked about, actually was atop the standings for E1 for a great deal of this stage, but has had a very rough go of what is effectively the debut for most of this E1 sports team on not LAN, but international competition.
Yes.
We obviously casted E1 yesterday, and one of the things we discussed was that Brazil does have kind of a unique situation, given that they play all of their matchups on LAN, so it's not like they're not used to the LAN build. But international competition's a different thing.
It is, and experience matters, and that's what they're getting right now. We've cast both their games. This morning, I was in the elevator with 3 of the players from E1, and I was like, good luck today, later today, guys. I said, thank you. They're like, are you casting us? I was like, yeah. I was like, I also cast you the first 2 times. And they said, can you please not cast us? I said, sorry, but we kind of have to. So they think we're cursing them, Parker.
Well, their record with us wasn't very good here, but we also casted them almost every day in Brazil.
True. And
so their victories in Brazil.
Thanks to us.
Thanks to us. You're
Obviously.
very welcome, E1. And I mean, yeah, second place team in Brazil. That means they placed ahead of the defending world champions. The only team in Brazil that statistically did better than them was FaZe Clan.
Yep.
FaZe Clan were just in action. Not to spoil the results for you, but they did win in their matchup. But boy, oh boy, did Beast Coast give them a run for their money on that skyscraper map. The opponents for E1 are a team that hails all the way from Japan. If you've watched any international event before, you know exactly who they are. Cyclops Athlete Gaming, or CAG as they are most oftenly referred to as, are a team that has been to almost every single international event over the last 5 years. But you wouldn't know it if you watched only the live portion of the events, because these are players that unfortunately tend to be perennial 16th to 12th place. They don't ever make it out of groups. They almost never make a deep run. So what are the expectations for this team today?
It's really tough because CAG, as you said, they make every single event, but they don't really seem to improve even a little bit. It's always the same kind of top 16 finish, go home early, etc. I think CAG E1 is a beautiful story for one of these teams to go home because they are proving that they are not the worst team here. Because frankly, CAG and E1 have looked like, I would argue, literally the bottom 2 teams here in Phase number 2. So the winner deserves to stay, but have a long path ahead of them. When it comes to CAG, they have massive consistency issues. They have a player like Shurip going plus 20 on the, or not an entry, but in KD rather, but Blackray being negative 16. So they have individual performances that fluctuate so much. Not every single player is working together every single round or even every single map. That is a massive problem for them.
If you're unaware, we have 2 streams running for the entirety of Phase 2, or at least until we don't have enough teams to warrant 2 full streams. On the main channel, Bliss and Team Secret, both undefeated in this second phase of the Major. One of those 2 teams will be the first team to clinch a spot in the playoffs, meaning you will see them on the main stage on Friday here in Manchester. Lanchester, some would even say. Will it be Bliss, the Australian team that has surprised us? They had 2 grueling matches yesterday. Or will it be Team Secret, who's also surprised us? On this channel, obviously, we have an elimination matchup. And if you're curious, we will once again find ourselves with a qualification and an elimination match to end the day. Team Liquid and Space Station will be on the main channel. We will be saying goodbye to one of those 2 teams. Some animal noises right now coming from the bullpen.
Very
I don't
interesting.
really know what that is, and I'm curious if the mic is picking it up, but somebody was moaning, groaning. I'm not really sure. I don't know if you heard that, but
yeah.
On this channel, by the way, our second matchup of the day is going to be a fascinating one.
Yep. Got a little bit of Furia versus Bleed action. And
why'd you say Furia first?
Because they're the reigning world champions. Come on, Parker. Like, so if you don't know, right? Furia right now, it's the core of that W7M World Championship roster from last year. That's not Furia. And I'm going to say them first because they are the team to look out for right now. Against Bleed, who has been good, but they're not Furia level good.
Now, just so you know what's going on both of those channels, so you can set your dial accordingly. If you're old enough to remember TVs that have dials, I don't think a lot of the people that are watching probably remember it. Do you?
I didn't have one, but know what they look like.
When we used to go, we'd go to a cottage every now and then, and it had one of those TVs with the dials that you have to turn it to go to the channel. That was, of course, before remote controls existed, and now everybody just uses, some people even use their phones to control their TVs.
Crazy concept.
Technology is really a wild thing. As for this matchup, you're probably wondering, where are we going to play? Well, it's a best of 3. One of the things that are new to this situation and to this major is that in order to qualify for the playoffs, you got to go through a best of 3. If you're going to be eliminated, you got to lose a best of 3. That's basically how it works. So, what maps are going to be played? Well, we'll see here right now. Labs is gone. That was a map that E1 liked, but ultimately didn't do so well on yesterday, but it still should be somewhat comfortable ground for them. Clubhouse, Skyscraper, and Border also removed from action. E1 banning Border, which was one of the maps that CAG played yesterday, so both of them opting not to go there. Chalet will be map number 1. It was picked by CAG. Cafe picked immediately by E1. The tiebreaker, how are we feeling about an Oregon?
I mean, Oregon would be a stable class one to end things off, and of course, bank being removed, so that leaves... Oregon banned console. Okay. I was gonna say maybe we actually could get there. I like this for CAG actually. I think they're gonna go for Border or Chalet as their first map, bring the chaos, and we know CAG historically they do like playing Chalet a ton. But I do think that going into Cafe and Consulate is going to favor E1, the more restricted kind of maps where CAG won't have as much freedom. So for CAG right now, you have to win your own map pick of Chalet. Otherwise, I certainly think it's game over for them.
Neither of these teams have played up to their potential so far through this event, but it's worth noting that they've both just played a single map series twice. 2 maps, that's it. CAG played 2 maps, lost both of them. E1 played 2 maps, they lost both of them. That's really not that much. Now, if this was a best of 3, then you could say, okay, well, at minimum, you've played 4 maps at this point. Not the case. And now, in order to go home, you got to play in 1 best of 3. When it comes to the size of your map pool, typically, the more experienced team will have the deeper map pool. CAG is undeniably the more experienced of these 2 squads internationally, but experience isn't all that matters because, again, these are perennial contenders, but they never make that deep run. So, if you look at this CAG roster, and we got to watch both CAG and E1 play yesterday, we casted their matches. What is the win condition for CAG here?
So, the one thing they've not been doing this event so far that normally they do tend to do quite often is that they're aggressive, they're unpredictable, they're chaotic, they catch their opponents by surprise, and it sounds simple, but that's always been the story for CAG. That's how they play. So far in this tournament, they look timid, a little bit scared, a little bit confused, and they're not on the same page. You'll have one player storming the building and another one, the same team, standing really far outside, holding an extremely passive ankle, waiting for something to happen. It doesn't seem like they have the exact same approach to the current meta of the game, and that's just something that a lot of teams actually are struggling with right now at this event. They're trying to figure out their identity in this new space of Rainbow Six Siege with the operators that are in the map pool, the meta changes, the shield rework, etc. Some teams figure it out faster than others, and for both E1 and CAG, I don't think they know exactly where they want to place themselves in that pool of opportunities. When it comes to CAG and map pool, yeah, they have more experience, but when you play in APAC, basically, you don't push yourself or your opponents as hard as other regions because there's worse practice domestically. Whereas even they play in Brazil, they play the likes of Furia, Liquid, and FaZe every single week. They will have pushed themselves to a bigger map pool, likely because they play better teams on average. So I actually think that's also why E1, they kind of won out in the draft right now, in my eyes here, getting both Cafe and Consulate up against CAG.
It's one of those few matches where, now that I'm unsure of what's going to happen.
I'm a little bit unsure.
I'm a little bit unsure, and I think the big reason for that is just it's E1. Honestly, I mean, I don't know how to rate this team at this current moment. Because there was a very clear narrative around E1 in Brazil, right? Yeah. Every single match that they won prior to the playoffs came against opponents that were below them in the standings. Then they hop into the playoffs and they defeat Black Dragons and the new W7M roster.
2-0, both games.
A very surprising result. Well, CAG's no slouch, for sure. But again, with the entire body of work that we can look at in CAG, this is a team that usually goes out right here, right now.
Exactly.
So CAG will have to beat previous history to overcome our expectations. As for E1, this could be the end of the road for their international debut. Which would obviously be devastating for a team that is listed as the second best in Brazil. And again, I will remind you, second best in Brazil means that they are better than Liquid and the defending world champions of Furia, though their regular stage performance certainly wouldn't show that. Operator bands rolling in as we get underway with Chalet.
Oh, I love this. E1 Arthur, he loves to play the Monty back in Brazil, also has played here at international grounds as well, Manchester. But despite that, E1, they're paying that massive respect card saying, hey, we know CAG, they're one of the OG Monty playing teams. We're going to ban it on Chalet. Despite the fact that E1 is starting on the attacking side, now they can no longer utilize that operator on their first half. Ying, of course, first operator banned by CAG themselves. No big surprise there. Same for Asami. Meta operators that we tend to see being banned almost every single time on Chalet. And then that final operator ban. Did I see what that was a cancel? Yep. A cancel ban on Chalet. It's not like a massive why would they do that. It's more of like a this doesn't happen all that often because most teams would like to have that extra cover on the upstairs bomb sites of like master bedroom, or if you're defending kitchen and extending up into master bedroom, you would like him there as well. And when you combine the cancel with the Asami ban, you don't actually have any kind of exterior defensive utility pieces to fortify the bomb site from like the windows, those long lines of sight. So this Chalet match will have a lot of open angles from very far away, and that's definitely going to favor the attack that has those zoom scopes and arguably better weapons on average.
We've been seeing a lot of castle play here, and I think a big part of that as well is just the ACOG.
Yeah, it was true, yeah.
There's a lot of ACOG operators that are being brought. You know, we talk about how they're usually the MP5s. Malusi, Wamai, Doc, Rook, though Doc and Rook's pick rate are non-existent at this point. Even Malusi hasn't been played all that much. It's been a lot of castle. It's been a lot of Wamai. Only a handful of defenders got access to those ACOGs. So if you want to take long-range engagements, if you think that you are the better team when it comes to shooting, then you're going to gain some serious value here, and Shiraniko seems to think that. Immediately, the Soulless gambling their life, taking out Flastry. Goodbye to the Twitch.
This is a really good sign though, because just about what a minute or two ago saying CAG, they gotta be unpredictable and aggressive and in their face. First round spawn peak with success. That's gonna be like, oh, how did I die to that, right? You're playing Twitch, it's an active drone that you want to be using the entire round. Twitch's value is at its highest in the beginning of Chalet, just like Bra right now from EMS. You can get in the building, either hack those default cameras or remove them from action by using the Twitch drone to sap them. So massive value lost early. That's the first layer for CAG. Second layer, they have pre-placed C4s on the rappel in for Solarium. They play the sound cue, second kill goes out. CAG with a clear game plan so far, and it's paying off already.
Well, if you're E1 and you like to live and thrive in the chaos of being a good shot, then boy, oh boy, you got to ensure you're actually winning those duels. And right now, the one player remaining that has a kill on the side of E1, the only kill on the whole team, is Perez. Took down Shiraniko. Solus as an operator is good at all times of the round, but is especially good in the final moments when you know that diffuser is being planted and you can exactly pinpoint the location. Said attacker carrying it in. It's interesting that Perez is the one with the case, given that he has been far and away their top performing player since E1 joined the Brazilian League. He was sensational yesterday. Anaton taking out Emps, who seemed to have entried on his own. Now it's STK and Perez miles apart. I'd love to know what's going on in that other broadcast because, dear Lord, they are loud. Perez nearsighted. It's Black Ray on Library Stairs to finish him off. STK in Mudroom takes out Shureep, who decides to challenge this for some particular reason. Literally cannot get out of that room outside of the doorway. Chibisu swinging on to STK, final player, and, well, hard to recover from that round after losing Flastry early on. CAG takes the very first round.
I'm curious if what we're hearing might actually be the CAG players the entire time. I'm gonna check if the other stream is actually live, because I thought there was a halftime show or something. Because I'm thinking this could be a mental thing for CAG, you know? We saw them lose yesterday, they were still smiling, having a quote-unquote good time, all things considered, and they have been a team that, yes, they have early exits, but they take it pretty well usually. But if the vibes are down, and you're not feeling it as a team, and you're not feeling like you can freely play the game, you feel a little chained mentally. I can't go for risky play, because it's a bad idea, what if we lose the round? It feels like they're freeing themselves up right now, just playing the game true to their nature and not having too many worries in the server. And it's something that we see happen quite often. We saw BDS earlier today up against PC Talon. Every single round BDS lost. The players from BDS aside, they look destroyed mentally. They look outright sad and so much frustration on their faces every single time they would lose a round on the match. It was like, CAG right now, they're screaming every kill they get, building up that vibe, building up that environment, and riding that momentum. And that spawn peak was a great way to start it off as well. So they take the first round. The other game just started. They're doing operator bends.
Yeah, so our producer told us while you were talking that they have not even played a single round yet. So it's definitely a mental game. I heard some barking over there. I guess we bark for excitement now. We're all just a bunch of dogs. I don't know.
Love that.
No early engagement, by the way, this round.
I mean, they're trying for it.
maybe I spoke a little too soon. Shoe had an angle for just a second. Do you go for the run out and try to get back through trophy? I don't think so.
Can't get too crazy with it. I mean, there's a spawn peak that is risky, and then there is spawn rushing, which is silly when you go into their spawn, essentially. But I like this early aggression right now. It's slowing down E1. It's been 50 seconds. They're all outside the building, on windows, holding angles, and still losing gunfights, but a trade this time, though. And Perez jumps on in. Can there be a trade? Shurip, come on. Oh!
Nitro Cell from Black Ray saves his teammate for a second, and honestly, Perez dying is all you really need for CAG. Arthur will confirm the kill. Upstairs now. Continuing on with that diffuser. Emps is not too much farther ahead. The Buck will need to take up space at some point and begin hard or soft destruction inside of Library.
A big thing here for E1 is to try and match the aggression, because when you're on the attacking side, you need to try and control the pace of these rounds. So the fact that Perez and Flash just fly in the window, fly in the building, and get things done, it is actually a really good thing, because otherwise you're locked outside the building. Yeah, it costs you 2 bodies, but you're down to a 3-on-3. It's equal numbers. You still got hard destruction and soft destruction, and you set yourself up in this round for E1, that is, to actually have a fighting chance and not get locked out. So it might look a bit desperate, but I think E1 is making the right play by matching CAG 1-to-1 right now in that early stage of the round.
Bomb located by attackers.
SDK now blowing things up inside a lobby. Emp's not far removed from him. Arthur must stay alive as the last remaining hard breacher. I imagine at some point you want to go towards, there you go, the main breach. Arthur will get the snowmobile wall open. Second exothermic charge will usually go over on that wine wall, but I don't know if he'll have time to reposition with 30 seconds left. Now it's Emps and SDK to march down blue stairs, but they blind themselves. Anatun with 1. Emps with 2 kills, asserting himself in this position, and now it's Black Ray to defend against the last 2 players. Spotted out and completely lost as to where the last remaining E1 body was. Neither of these teams able to escape each other. Relatively even rounds. Both rounds 1 and 2, and it's a tie game.
A very good use of bodies there from the side of E1. Every single death that they had, it got them something. Either map control, a good trade, or in that, end of the round, the beginning of the execute. What do you do against a shotgun and blue staircase? You have 2 players. One throws a flash, you peek them together, and you might lose 1 player to the shotgun, but the second player will trade you, so it's a 1-for-1 equalization, but you get blue stairs control. And the cherry on top, the player behind the Buck got the second follow-up kill shortly after as well, so the 2-for-1 trade favoring E1. And this is something that you cannot value your life in Siege too highly if you're playing a Thermite or a Bravo or an IQ thinking, I need to breach, I need to drone, etc, etc, etc. Sometimes you have to just get active and enable somebody else, and sometimes the best way to do that is to just be the bait. You go in knowing you're likely going to die, but your teammate has your back. You trust him, you trust the system, and success can come your way. So E1 problem solving very quickly here and adapting pretty well to the situation, likely because E1 themselves, they love to play this same kind of playstyle back in Brazil. They've not had that success translating that to international stage just yet, but they're so familiar with it that they can recognize it, adapt to it, and actually just flip it up from one round to another.
One of the things that was most evident about BlackRay in their previous matches was that he's really not the entry player that CAG needs. Very poor entry stats, poor roaming stats. So what do? Well, maybe put him on safer roles, where he'll be playing sheltered minutes. You saw it on the Mira in the previous round. Now on the Valkyrie. You look at the lineup that CAG has. There's plenty of opportunities to roam. I don't think that BlackRay will be quite as active, given that there's both a Vigil and a Solus available for the defenders. And no, BlackRay will now hold down the Miras just above the bomb site of Kitchen, first floor. First logic bomb's gone off. CAG can deal with that because of the mute jammer that they have access to. All four of them will stop those logic bombs.
No bandit in place, so walls can open up. So with the assignment cancel ban, they're playing the mirror to kind of get that safety net, but now the wall gets blown up. But again, every single time CAG, they win the gunfights early on.
Perez is good enough for one kill most of the time. BlackRay just flattens them, but doesn't look in the right direction. As there's Flastry, who's had very limited impact so far in this matchup. Ems was trying to get the cams before getting blown sky high for a C4 down below. Chibi-Suit claiming that one. Diffuser in the hands of the Jackal. Just under half of the round gone.
This is not the same story as last round where E1 traded bodies 1-to-1, because now they're down a player, of course, and they have Jackal. They can maybe isolate one player, find them with the footsteps, for example, but everyone's downstairs. CAG, they know when to lash out. Now they're falling back, playing very close together in West Main and by Kitchen. Weirdly speaking, they have one C4 as well. Anakin with C4 in hand right now, waiting for the right time to toss it out. Waiting for a sound cue. Here's something left, right. A big guessing game. If the C4 lands, it almost ensures the fact that CAG will find this victory in this round. But just gonna hold on to it. Very patient man here from Anakin.
They'll be very cautious about now how you get inside the building. Jumping in windows when you're most vulnerable.
True.
Other than maybe on Repel, but they've cleaned up Repel, I feel
It's
like.
so much nicer now, actually. Very smooth.
Developers changing the Repel animation. It's time for SDK to go because Flashtree gets down, and there you go. Vaults in, and within a second, the round is over. CAG had locked down the bomb site, and E1 just had no tools to deal with the entrenched CAG defense.
So this pretty much comes down to the first minute and a half or so of the round. That's going to define, very likely at least, who's going to come out on top here, because there are so many deaths early on. And as I was saying, CAG, they, have the assignment castle ban against them. They optimized for a mirror upstairs to force E1 to problem solve, and they didn't have an Ash. So they got to exothermicharge the wall, breach it open, take it step by step, and most teams, logically speaking, when you breach that first line of defense and office wall with the mirror window, they're going to fall back into master bedroom, solarium, bathroom, etc. They're going to go backwards. No. CAG, they moved into their opponent with 3 separate players, winning the majority of the gunfights, and even after getting the first couple of kills, they ran all the way into a lobby. They are just running at their opponent and playing what looks like a ridiculous playstyle, but they're doing it together and it works. BlackRay, who's had a really bad tournament so far, going minus 16 on his kills versus death ratio, the worst in his team by far, is now 3-2. He's positive by playing this kind of playstyle. Every single player from CAG is either even 1-to-1, Shurib is 2-2 for example, or they're positive. Shironiko, last round 2-3, but he got traded by his teammate. There is still value being had there, even if he didn't get the kill himself.
One of those 2 kills came in the very first round, the very first kill of the matchup actually. It was hugely impactful to remove Flashtree. Denied E1 those Twitch drones, which would have come in very handy in round number 1. Survived to the bitter end of the round, but hasn't needed to be much more impactful since. Gone 6, blowing open a barricade. That's the first floor, seemingly, or at least some of it seemingly in control of E1.
They slow things down here. I like this from CAG, right? They go fast, fast, fast. Now they're playing very default bar defense. They're playing shields top blue, playing mezzanine library, playing with just one guy on the bomb side itself, and they're playing utility with the Wamai. So now E1, they got a problem solve with utility instead of gunplay and bodies. It's a very different play style. But look at this. Fire goes out. The crosshair's there. Does a bit of damage onto Shironiko. He falls back to site, but it costs a lot of time for E1.
Black Rays having a significantly better game playing on these sheltered roles. Don't really need to hold much map controls. You can just sit pretty either in the bomb site or near it. Flashtree dying first again. That's not good with those logic bombs. Half of the round and CAG just survives that scare.
Yeah, the whole thing for E1 is that they should get at least one kill or do it very quickly. They've done it slowly and they got no kills. Oh, there we go. That's a trade 4-4. The hands are back.
Now it's Anderton to turn tail, try to run, but Arthur is there. A nice insurance policy for E1. They've drawn even. Shironiko and SDK on very similar levels of HP. Same, but different.
Same, but different.
Final minute, and you look. The only utility remaining are those 3 canisters of bees. Today is International Bee Day, by the way.
Oh, happy Bee Day.
And we are in the city of the bees.
True. Manchester.
For those that don't know,
I'm reloading.
the bee is one of the main symbols representing this city.
So you got 3 of them left. 2 of them now to go. So getting the bees on the bomb side, entering either from the hatch drop or from the lobby portion could... Wait, injured? Just out of nowhere?
Chibisu swinging, and now Emps needs to do more work. A Shironiko and Chibisu double up for CAG. Emps tantalizingly close to the bomb site. The moment he looks to the right, he's punished from the left. Shironiko and backbar playing a very, very tight angle.
Was that a frost mat? I didn't hear a bullet. It was a frost. Okay, so I was saying, I didn't hear a bullet being fired, and it's just on the ground. There was, in fact, a frost mat at the bottom of lobby stairs.
Is that the sound that somebody makes when they step into a frost mat? Oh, my leg.
My leg. Help me out.
Obviously, those of you don't have access to the camera footage, but Nick almost just tripped over the chair.
I did. I almost tripped and fell.
Because when he went, he leaned backwards as if to pantomime to all of you who are not able to see him. He hit the leg of the chair and almost fell. Imagine you hit the ground and...
Suffering the same fate as E1 that round, losing, that is. I mean, I like, again, what CAG they're doing right now. It's very efficient. It's much more like them. I mean, if you are curious about CAG or you like them as a team, you're a big fan, you can go back and watch their previous 2 games here in Phase 2 and you can say, where were they before? Because they have not played like this until this moment. Now, this is Chalet. It's their map pick. This is where we expect CG to do well and to have that kind of confidence. So we have to keep our eyes peeled for the following map off Cafe, and if we need to, third map is Consulate, because they play out in a very different way than this map of Chalet. So far though, 3-1 scoreline, and they're both working E1 in the early stages with the roam game, the spawn peaks, the aggression, and now they start to play more and more utility. The Capcan traps, the Goyo canisters, the mirror windows. E1 had to constantly change the operator lineup to be, okay, Capital Grim. Now we gotta get the Ram and the Ash, for example, soft destruction. The only consistent thing right now is Arthur is pretty much on hard support duty on Thermite. Everything else around him is constantly changing to try and problem solve all these steps.
E1 has not done a very good job of drawing blood first this round. Bucks that trend as Arthur starts off the killing, but Shu Reap immediately equalizes. STK 1-5, and not just 1-5, but when you want to attack this bottom floor bomb site, you usually need a lot of soft destruction, especially when it comes to clearing out the defenders down below through that main lobby. Well, looked like 1, maybe 2 of those boogie drones went off, so some utility will die with STK. Means that the defenders will sit a little bit safer in the bomb site.
Second step, though, for E1. I mean, they had an idea, they had a plan, and now they're rotating. Very, like, lack of information, right? They're just kind of going from trophy kitchen side back to fireplace main lobby. But they need to enter the building. Both Flashtree and Perez still outside, waiting for the right amount of information, perhaps. We see Flashtree droning for a very long time, checking out the mirror window, the default cams, etc. And I think CAG right now, they're getting a bit nervous because they don't know what's happening because it's so quiet on the server. When attackers aren't making a lot of noise, you're thinking, hey, where could they be? When you don't have a Valkyrie, you just do not actually know what's happening. So Be careful, CAG. Move too far, might get shot on the side. Stand still for too long, they might just push the bomb site.
And this was the one bomb site that E1 has won on. So
Yeah.
showing some success before, but they did have quite a numbers advantage before they actually decided to go for an actual execute. This is quite the extended roam at the moment for CAG. Flastry will look for an opening through big garage. A huge gap in the wall, looking deep into the wine bomb site. Flastry just needs to play this slow. If there's a flanker that wants to go down West Main, he could possibly catch it. But Shurip's looking for the drop. Flastry's backing up. This will be something that is heard. Chibisu taking some damage. Cannot be secured, though, because Shurip comes to the rescue. For a brief second, it looked like Arthur wanted to get Diffuser down. He and Emps doubling up on kills now. Nitro Cell goes out by Black Ray, but it's shot. He now needs to deal with those stairs. A great shot by Black Ray, but he can't connect. He was left alone in the bomb site for the second time, and he meets the same fate as he did just a few rounds prior. Both of E1's victories on attack, coming at the expense of CAG on the bottom floor bomb site.
And both teams playing really well in the 4 versus 4 because they both had a really good idea of what they wanted to counter their opponent. CAG, they're gonna swing out from the bomb side and flank the big car garage. We saw that from Shurip, he got the kill, but then E1, they strike back themselves. They might have lost their flank on the back end, but they had their frontal execute still. Lobby hatch drop, fireplace staircase, and of course the exterior breach to the bomb side. So yeah, they lose a player, but guess what, CAG, they lose the side, the bomb starts going down, and you gotta play retake all of a sudden. Good shots were hit by CAG, but the positioning game much stronger from E1. And despite E1 actually winning it out, they will call a tactical timeout to figure out what they can solve for this final attacking round, and of course probably also discuss the future rounds on defense, likely a playstyle choice, a stylistic choice, maybe the coach saw some big weaknesses on the side of CAG that they could abuse themselves.
Really quite an interesting time for this timeout to be called from E1, by the way. Usually you don't see teams call their only timeout with 1 round left in the first half.
And when they win the round as well.
Obviously, there's something that they assess is wrong with their attacks. This is their map, or this is CAG's map. So if you're E1, you're going up against your opponent, and it's their map, you need to work maybe a little bit harder. As we always say whenever a timeout comes up, we don't have access to what the teams are saying, and we certainly don't get to hear what the coach is hearing. It's entirely possible that there's something amiss with E1's comms. Maybe they're not clicking, maybe they're not talking as much, or maybe they're talking too much, maybe they're fighting. We don't know. All we can do is speculate. And in this case, idle speculation only gets us so far. As for E1, though, they have been unsuccessful on every single bomb site except for Garage. Only win there twice. So E1 will now have to do something that they have not been able to do for the remainder of those bomb sites, which is win. You called the timeout just to try and strategize about where this next site is going to be and maybe talk a little bit about what happens when you go to defense, sure. But it is questionable timing. Maybe not the most efficient.
Believe the system though. I mean, E1, they might be going into saying we gotta get at least 3 attacks to feel comfortable. Chalet has been historically an attacker-favored map. Certainly not defense in a long time. Of course, every matchup, Arbiter Benziger can change that stat around. And defenders right now, they do have stuff like Finrear open, for example. They can play one of those power braiders, same with Solus here in this round, for example. But it has just been CAG one step ahead. This time it's a C4 opening kill. And it's a different thing. It can be a spawn peek, it can be a C4, it can be holding those walk-ins on the roam game. It doesn't really matter, but E1, they're falling to different things early on every single time. And this is after their tactical timeout where they just said, guys, this is the game plan for this bomb site approach. Well, it's buck below, verticality, but you're already down a player, down a gun. They deal with the mirror window, they break the floor a little bit, but they still gotta get inside the building, up on top floor, before they can start doing anything to the bomb site itself.
Numbers-wise, not only has Arthur been the best player, but he's often been doing it on support roles. He's been the one shepherding in the diffuser most often and has been playing those difficult hard breach roles where most of the time your job is to drone, try to get the diffuser down, and then ultimately die.
Yeah.
Any Thermite main can tell you exactly what that job is like. It was even worse back in the early days when you kill a Thatcher, you kill a Thermite, and that was basically the round over.
Yeah, that's it. One hot breacher.
Now there's obviously fallbacks. There's other hard breachers and other operators that can do that same job. Flash 3 eliminating Black Ray. Emps has Diffuser. He's getting it down. Shureep is in a very intriguing position with his M870. Nobody seems to be aware that Emps has successfully done it. This is a bad spot for CAG. They look choked out of their own bomb site. The upside down rappel will cause great issues. Flash 3 in a very powerful position. Shureep doesn't have anything but a pistol that can do something long range. Why not try your best, right? Perez from the back. Sharoniko with one. Chibisu with another. It's all up to Emps. He guided in that diffuser. Now holds the angle looking at Closet. They'll double up. Emps was the savior on both of E1's victories down below, but it won't happen this time. And despite everything working for E1, it's CAG to just be the better team on the retake. First half, 4-2 for the Japanese squad.
E1 might have wanted that round victory a little bit too much because they are running into CAG in a post-plant position. They could play from below in kitchen, play far back from Solarium. They could play big window, which they were, but they were actively swinging out way too aggressively into CAG. I mean, they were locked out. It didn't look like there was any chance of a retake with those player positions, but then E1, they give up the strong spots to go into a weaker position just to die shortly after without a trade. Mentally, massive bummer of a round for E1. They take the tactical timeout, they lose the opening duel shortly after, and then they actually plant, and out of nowhere it looked like, okay, they've won the round, just to lose it in that 4v4 or 4v3. Now things change though, side swap. 2 rounds E1 could get on the attack. CAG, they gotta do just one bit of that, then they get 7 rounds. That's a 4+3 right there. They get the victory, easy dubs. But it's a very different approach here. The way you defend on Chalet versus attacking, of course, like any other map, it's not gonna be the same thing. Now CAG, they have to actively problem solve, drone the bomb site, see what operators, pick the right operators, into the building, execute near the side, and get down the diffuser or get 5 kills. In this version on E1, they're trying to slow things down. Echo, Kaid, and Tubarao is just anti-wall deny all across that base of bomb site. Either gonna slow CAG down or stop them entirely from opening up any of those walls. And CAG, for example, in this round, did not bring a Thatcher, just secondary EMPs from Enneton on the Capital, so it could actually be quite difficult for them to get all the walls and hatches opened up if E1 are accurate with their Kite Claw usage.
It's good scouting here from the Yokai. Black Ray doing a much better job on entry on the Buck already than he did against Scars yesterday. Black Ray made some questionable decisions. Maybe it was because he got bad information from his teammates, or maybe he just wasn't as comfortable against Scars, but CAG seems to be playing their own game right now. And when you go up against a team like E1 that isn't very experienced, and frankly is quite a young team, even if CAG's experience has them go out in that 12th to 16th place, that's still more valuable than the lack of experience E1 has. It's going to prepare you for this matchup a little bit better, and Cyclops playing their own game on their own map is exactly where they should be, so they're currently meeting expectations. Can they beat it, though? They'll be riding out attack for the remainder of this second half. The only time they'll go back to defense is if overtime occurs. Right now, things not looking great for E1, but they still have 90 seconds to sit and wait. Maybe see if CAG makes any mistakes.
They lost their sole roamer, but that wasn't the win condition they were playing for. It's again a wall deny. Tubarao, Kaid, and of course the Echo are on action to slow things down still, so...
Just also saw the nerf to the impact grenades right there. By the way, it only took out one of those X-Kairos pellets. So there's still enough to pierce through some of that back wall for CAG.
Yeah, the range being reduced here, but again, the right tools in the hands of CAG though. They got EMPs, Capital flying, they can force out that boiler position, either get the kill or force Arthur back now. They're trying to double up and get a trade going, but the C4 goes wide and doesn't even find a single piece of Enneton's health bar. The flash will go, fire follows, Arthur, you gotta run backwards, my guy.
He's gonna burn, he hops on over and he wants to get quite aggressive. Supernova in hand. The flames just in the wrong direction. Enneton on his belly. Army crawling over towards the Echo, picked off from the door. Now it's Chibisu in a very similar position. CAG cannot get in the building at this moment. They're being held at bay by E1. The timer now bleeding down though. The Echo watching the Yokai drone gets off. Pumps Chibisu right through the chest. Very limited time for CAG to pull this off. They got Flash Tree early in the round, but right now that's all they have to show for it. Black Ray with yet another. A third could be had, but E1 will give him nothing. sitting and holding this angle. Black Ray knows there's one playing by that wine wall, knows there's another over towards blue. And whether he dies or not, the timer will give the round to E1. They do technically get the final kill, but it's just a formality. There was no way CAG was able to pull that off in less than 3 seconds on the clock. First defense for E1, successful.
Now, seeing how that round played out and what kind of playstyle E1 went for, I'm very curious if the tactical timeout on their attacking side talked about their upcoming defensive side as well, because they very decisively said, guys, let's just not do anything in that round. CAG, they're not a team that is known to problem solve effectively or deal with problems that they're not used to seeing. They played Kai, Tuberao, Echo, and never moved the muscle, and CAG didn't even clear boiler position successfully, and it's actually because Arthur made what many would say a ridiculous play. The Capsule Firebolt goes out behind the deployable shield. What does Arthur do? He jumps in front of it and advances forward with that shotgun and just locks it down. And all of his teammates around him, they have that crossfire established. They took down Eniton. When the Capsule died, it was just no real way for CAG to break that hold on the boiler position. And they only had 30-40 seconds left. No time to rotate around the building either. So CAG is in a difficult spot right now. Either they have to go for rushes, aggressive plays, glass, lion, blitz, whatever you can find, or they gotta start playing problem-solving Siege, where you play those anti-utility operators, like the Karatao, the Grim, etc. So I think CAG for this round and the next, they gotta figure out what style do they want to go for, and how can they match up against this stylistic choice from E1, because this round is not all that much different. It's again one mice being brought out, not that common on Chalet. Then you get the mirror windows, the mute jammers. You need to problem solve this step by step or brute force through it. They got the blitz, they got the finger, they got the line. It might be a quick one.
Flash through the very first kill on to Aniton. Sharif is down as well. This rush is not working out for CAG. Their attacks falling flat. Arthur now finishing off what remained of the blitz with a Nitro Cell. Black Ray and Shiranigo immediately flip a switch, and we're right back to a standstill when it comes to player count. Black Ray is having a terrific game in stark contrast to what he did yesterday.
Ooh.
And he's ready for yet another one. Goodbye to Flash Stream. Arthur's all that remains. Both of these rounds looked like they were going to go the other way. Round 7 looked like CAG had the upper hand. Round 8 looked like it was E1's, but they both flipped the script. 1 for 1. My lord. He's the loudest I've ever heard CAG.
Yeah, they've been doing this since the start. They're screaming their heart out every single round victory. E1, they can certainly hear them. I mean, I would certainly believe so at least. The sound bounces quite well in this from off the walls and the ceiling. And I mean, mental warfare. If E1, they're down bad, not meeting expectations, they've had a bad tournament so far, they know it. They're in their own head already. And then, they're up against CAG, a team they should beat by their own means, of course. And they're losing, and they're being yelled at, laughed at by their opponent. If you're not a very experienced player, this can absolutely affect you. And even if it doesn't, there's no negative side effect for CAG right now. They're having fun with it. They're doing their thing. They're feeling good about it. And it looked like a terrible rush of a round, but they somehow swung it back. E1 didn't really respond, I guess, the right way, you could say. They had Arthur playing very passively on the bomb side. The Romas died alone. Arthur's last alive. Then he tries to go for a flank after they're all dead upstairs. Bit of a mistiming or mismatch in how they want to approach that round for E1. And CAG, they actually figured, okay, we can play utility, we can also go fast. And now E1, they had to worry constantly about how fast will they go. Because if you're fearing the potential rush in a round, as a defender, you're going to be afraid of roaming too far away from teammates and too far away from the bomb site itself. However, if the enemy is good at roam clearing all of a sudden, they will take map control for absolutely free so quickly because you're too close to the bomb site, not out around the map. So E1 could be troublesome here.
We haven't really been saying Perez's name that much.
We haven't.
9 kills, though? Like, very quietly putting together a great body of work. Him and Black Ray sitting right now, the top of their respective teams, both tied with each other at 9 kills. A nice bounce back for a player who lagged behind much of the other fraggers in APAC. Flash 3 surviving a brief scare as we now hit 1 minute into the round. The Mira diving away with just a tiny bit of HP.
Poor Flash Tree. I mean, you gotta play in that library corner just to force out the drones, the utility, etc. Like, you have to do it, but it's risky. Flash Tree almost dies, and he lost to C4s on the process, didn't get a kill himself, so you're almost playing 4v... Well, now you are playing 4v5. 4v4, okay. Constant trades back and forth here. Both teams very quick to respond when action happens.
Excellent in the first kill, though, is Perez. Flash Tree still on a tiny point of HP. SDK's second kill coming in round 9. So Selmas will go off and force whoever is playing in back bar out of their position. Provides a nice line of sight for anybody on attack playing in main lobby. Just past the halfway point of the round, so CAG will rotate. There's Shiraniko to grab Empt, who's been looking in the wrong direction for an awful lot of his deaths. It's happened yesterday to E1 as well. I don't know if it's bad positioning or maybe it's just simply a lack of game sense, but there's been some struggles for Empt to know where the execute is coming from.
I think I almost got a little bit bit. They had a Valkyrie cam and default cam inside of West Main, so I think they said, it's clear, nobody's in kitchen, don't worry about it, and he thinks, okay, it's clear. That's what I was told. Dies from that angle shortly after. Small oversight from E1, or maybe trusting sound too much, saying the camera can hear if there's a guy in kitchen, but can't see it, so maybe be careful. But either way, you are right. E1, they have blind spots, and CAG constantly keep finding them.
A 3v3, but the HP right now favoring CAG with just 20 seconds left in the round. Grenade goes down to isolate over towards blue. Ooh. A swing from the Warden of Arthur. STK frying right now as the numbers stay even. Flash Tree needs to be found out. What little remains of him is what stands in the way of a victory for CAG. No. There's the fire. It's forced the Mira into a bad spot, and he gets cooked alive in back bar. The Mira walking into the flames with absolutely nowhere to go. A tremendous round for CAG. Match point.
Flash Tree thought about 3 different players in that round, but the only damage he took was to Captain Fire, because he started the round in library corner, and there was a guy on each window. Capital plus somebody else. Almost dies to Captain Fire, drops down C4s, back to the bomb site. Then at the end of the round there, fights 2 players again, one of them being the Capital, and only takes damage once again from the second Capital Firebolt. It sucks that you can't get the gunfights if you're Flash Tree, but frankly, if you only have a single point of health, I don't think you want to get a gunfight in the first place. The round is pretty much won or lost on how well you can hold library on that bar bomb side, or how much time you can stall out. And to be fair, E1 did a good job with the clock. There was 12 seconds left. Anderton dropped into fireplace in that 2 versus 1. But the problem from CG in terms of player positions has been great. They saw a player on the blue staircase and bar door. What did they do? Nade the blue staircase, kill the guy that swings, get traded. But again, you're trading a buddy to gain map control. It's always worth it as long as you're advancing forward on the attack inside. 6-3 now. CAG, they're going to keep things structured. Nomad, Gridlock, Capital, Flores. They're almost slowing the game down more than before by playing more utility. Saying, guys, let's send it home now, right? 7-3 here in Chalet, our map pick? I think so. That's what we want. Cafe, Consulate, second and third map might be a lot more difficult for them, so getting this over, done and quickly will be very good for CAG. Their mental, of course their energy levels, and just their problem-solving skills, because when you go to the next map of Cafe, you have to constantly feel like you're stuck in the box on the attacking side.
A lot of work to be done for E1 to close this gap. They had a much better time on attack than they are right now on defense. It's hard to go by the stats of this entire tournament because CAG played through phase 1. Yeah. So they're going to have numbers from their matches against, I would argue, weaker competition. Heading into today, Empt and Arthur on the side of E1 are the 2 lowest rated players at the entire event.
Yep.
STK is not much higher, just barely escaping that bottom 5. Anaton with the first kill, but Empt immediately trades it back, shutting down an advantage for CAG. Black Ray breaking double digits. He and Shiraniko, the only 2 players to do so in the lobby. Bress won't accomplish it, at least not this round, sitting at 9. Arthur, an opportunity to do so. Black Ray, the lowest rated player on CAG. But because of the sheer volume of games that were played by CAG in that first phase, it's hard to tell how much of those numbers came from their first early matches and how many came yesterday. STK was good for 2 kills in the previous round. The DMR can do some serious damage to the attackers. He sits on those blue stairs, waiting for a hapless member of CAG to stumble into him. Don't believe it's been droned out by the Japanese team. Final minute. It's do or die for E1.
Got the Solar's Flash, looking for that flanks. Got the shotgun primary, SMT11 second there. But look at the CAG. They've kind of played that blue stairs position, but I think STK has found himself in the middle of it. Oh no!
He gets baited in by Black Ray. A name that we've said so many times today. Only 3 remain for E1. Sheer Nico down below, waiting for Flastry to try to flank up main stairs, and here he comes. But Sheer Nico missing the opportunity. Flastry gets away. Very little damage done, and he jumps on Sheer Nico. E1 could have lost the round right then, right there. But now it's even yet again. 15 seconds remain. CAG have multiple opportunities for E1. They're on the razor's edge of map number 1. CAG looking for a statement win on their own map. Arthur putting in good work. Time running down. Anaton doomed. It's all up to Black Ray, but it's Emps, the savior of the round. 3 of the 4 rounds won by E1 have come from Emps' work himself. We talked about it yesterday with Bliss, with Wedibles, getting an awful lot of kills to win rounds and then having negligible impact outside of that. Same with Emps. 3 of these 4 rounds won by E1 have come because of the play of Emps.
I hate to be that guy, but did E1 win that round, or did Sheer and Nico throw it? Because you're holding that lobby flank against the Solis, and you got the perfect read, you got the timing, you know when he's coming at you, and you just whiff literally every single bullet. You go for a flashbang throw, he swings you, you die. That was a brutal death to have. That would have been a 4 versus 2. They know the last 2 players are stuck on the bomb side, and because Sheer Nico was playing in bar, he could walk up the fireplace stairs and actually flank that top floor attack so that they would have multiple fronts to attack from instead of a single area of Solarium. So really, really poor, small mistake, I would say, from CAG, but they're allowed those. It happens. They're still in the lead. They got that 6-4. Technical pause right now. Not a tactical, technical. So players will kind of sit there, think to themselves, no comms can be had, no coach involved. We got to fix the technical issue first.
Well, Arthur's PC seems to be the reason for this tech pause.
Uh-oh.
Because he was the one surrounded by admins.
Oh, rock, paper, scissors?
Paper, scissors. Oh.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. What is he doing?
I think he's probably... he's
4. He wants to count 4 times?
1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay, okay.
One more. 1, 2, 3, 4. That was 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
What is happening? I think he won. He was nodding at least. Now, when you have a technical issue, some players will be, annoying. We're doing good. We got that momentum. And you get annoyed and you get negative over it. This is like best case outcome. You're having fun with it. Both teams suffer, both teams thinks it sucks, the viewers, everybody. Nobody likes this. But one team can have long faces and be like, oh man. The other one, they're playing rock, paper, scissors, laughing and making funny jokes. It does make a difference for the mental, especially in a long matchup like a best of 3 or a best of 5. So again, CAG might not be the best team in the world, might have underperformed so far this event, but they got the right mentality, I think, in a lot of these scenarios that other players might find negative.
Getting word that the issue that was plaguing Arthur was a monitor issue.
Okay.
Everybody's back in the lobby at the moment, so we should be restarting shortly. Both teams are ready, so fist bumps going out for E1. Can't be too upset with the fact that this is CAG's map and you're down. I mean, oftentimes in a best of 3, especially in elimination games, unless there is a very clear favorite, which I don't think there is in this matchup.
No.
You're expecting to go to all 3 maps. You win your map, they win theirs. All comes down to the tiebreaker, which will be played on Consulate if required.
Yes. There was actually, speaking of monitor issues, Fabian once won a round in his scrim without a monitor.
Oh, you're going to tell the Lion story again?
Ah, come on. Not everybody knows that.
Drink.
So, I'll be quick, okay? Some event, I actually forgot which event it was. We're scrimming backstage against...
the Paris Major.
Oh, I thought it was actually. Against Fnatic. And Fabian's monitor mid-scrim on Coastline just dies. It just cut. Doesn't work anymore. Fabian's playing line, already picked the operator, and we said, hey, does your mouse and keyboard still work? He goes, yeah, I think so. And we just told Fabian when to press middle mouse button. This was line before he got reworked, right? He was really, really strong. And we just used all 3 lion scans at very important moments by saying, Fabian, middle mouse button. We won! 4v5 plus lion.
Was it Fnatic or was it Element Gaming? Or Element Mystic?
It was Fnatic.
I thought it was Element Mystic. Well, that was when you were playing the old Fear X, Cloud9, Mantis FPS.
Oh,
Element Mystic.
I'm pretty sure it's Fnatic because we were joking around afterwards saying we beat you guys 4v5. I'm pretty sure it is, from my memory at least.
Could be. I know it was at the Paris Major.
Yeah.
That much I know, because I remember being in the player area after it happened. It was all the way back in 2018.
Yep.
The very first Rainbow Six Major that happened in Paris, the home of Ubisoft.
Yep. And we won it, just in case you guys didn't know. G2 won.
Nobody asked. Woo. I don't know how to tell you this, but we don't care.
We don't care.
We don't care. First kill of yet another do-or-die round for E1 comes against Black Ray. 12 kills for a player who sits towards the bottom of the standings and is the worst player statistically of CAG. But today, that is very much not the case. E1 needed that opening blow, and they will find it.
It's a very crucial bomb site as well. That basement bomb site is all about manpower. So playing in an advantageous numbers position on defense is more important on basement than almost any other bomb site because there are only very few ways into the bomb site. You know, 2 staircases and a breach, that's really it, maybe a door. So having 4 or 5 defenders alive, you can cover everything guaranteed, whereas the attackers can't brute force it too much if they don't have the man count for it. Black Ray being down, it's a big deal here.
Shuri gets the read on it, and yet another kill from Anaton's fire arrows. Okay. 2 so far in one single map is quite a thing. We don't see that all that often. An abnormality, some would say. Now without his reticle, you see STK in a tough position above. Anaton looking for maybe one more. Fire arrow loaded.
Loading dart.
They'll lose it to the Wamai Magnet. Now it's time to smoke, run in, and amidst those wine cabinets, get the diffuser down. Emps taking out Shiraniko. This is a great bomb site for Emps with STK on the ground. It's all up to Flastry and Emps. Finished off by Shureep as now the timer will work against E1. CAG looking for the knockout blow against their opponents on their own map. CAG wants a victory on the map they chose to go to, and Shureep will give it to them. CAG up 1-0. They now go to Cafe, E1's map choice. Looking for a 2-0 victory, but will the second best team in Brazil send us to a third map? That's the question.
That is the question, but CAG, regardless of what happens in Cafe, they look like themselves once more, but this is Chalet! This is the map they're known to have this playstyle. They have to now show us they can go outside of their own comfort zone and apply this kind of performance to a map that they're less comfortable on to show they're a better team. And we see E1, their faces, that coaching staff behind them, not too happy with that result, knowing again they are not playing up to their own levels of expectations at this major event.
Well, you might want to see some replays. There are some nice moments throughout. Just fist bumps, why not?
Locked in.
Locked in. CAG obviously very happy with that result, and well, a 7-4 scoreline is, I guess, what you come to expect for a team on their own map. How will they do on Cafe? That's the real question. E1 showing some worrying signs of Chalet that I don't know if you can just chalk up to the map. Multiple times out of position. Empt in particular had a couple very questionable deaths. With that said, will it be a 2-0? Will CAG persevere on Cafe, or will E1 equalize? We'll find out in a couple minutes. Well, things went according to plan for CAG on their map of Chalet. A 7-4 victory propels them to map number 2, E1's Cafe Dostoevsky, up 1-0. And just in case you forgot, or you weren't even aware in the first place, this is an elimination match. The loser of this best of 3 is sent on express plane home. I don't even think they get seats. I think they get put in the cargo hold, and then we just dump them over wherever they live with parachutes and hope that they make it all the way. E1 looked quite uncomfortable, even though this was Cyclops' map. There were some structural issues from E1. Their coach, very unhappy after the result, and started laying into the players quite aggressively. We'll see if it makes a difference for Cafe, but here are your numbers for map number 1.
Now, I was going to say before the stats even came out, Blanker was my MVP. Even if he didn't have a 12-7 scoreline, he just played like 4 times better than the first 2 games for CAG, getting in the building with confidence, and also when things got too hot, he would get out instead of dying for nothing like what happened before on Border in previous games. So a big glow up for him as an individual, and for E1, like you said, CAG played well, but E1 got them fundamental, maybe mental problems as well, that is just making this gap bigger than it should have been.
2 lowest rated players in the entire event were in this match. Coming into map number 1, Arthur was one of them. But sitting with the highest rating in map number 1, not the most kills on his team, but the most impact. The other player towards the bottom of the standings was Emps, who went an even 8-8. I don't think you can argue that Arthur and Emps were the reasons for the loss on Chalet. But there's 2 things I think are worth talking about. Number 1, Perez was invisible most of that game. And number 2, STK.
Yeah, what happened?
1-8 or 1-7 at one point in this matchup, providing so little usage to his team. If you're not going to get kills, you got to be helping out with utility. But I don't think you can look at that first map and say that he was even helping on utility either. So you're going to need a big turnaround for this team. They go to the favorable turf. They're on Cafe. It's their map pick. Presumably, CAG will get the favorable side. So what is the first thing to look for to see if the tides have turned and if E1 will put up a fighting chance? What's the win condition for E1 here, Nick?
So win condition, I think, comes down to choosing a playstyle and sticking with it, because as you said, Arthur and Em's 2 lowest rated players in this tournament so far of the teams that are still here, but also they have the lowest plant rate at this entire tournament. Before this matchup, they planted twice in 2 games. They planted once there on Chalet. They're averaging 1 plant per map played, and they're having some of the lowest rated individual players on top, so they're not getting kills, they're not getting the bomb planted down, and when they planted on Chalet, they lost the round! They planted 4 versus 4, they lost the retake. So they gotta figure out either hit their shots, play together, play for trades, or try and get down that diffuser and play that post plan clean to get those guaranteed round victories. Cafe, if you're not playing together as a team on the attacking side, you are never gonna win a round, because this is one of those maps that really takes you in and just says you're stuck in here unless you fight your way out. The second you drop from that roof down a hatch, it is hell in a cell from start to finish. So play together, get in the building, and E1, I want to see them either take their time and respect the map, or just say, we know this map so damn well, we're going to go fast, we're going to be decisive, and we're going to be confident. Operator bans, of course, going out. Ying happened on Chalet, will happen here as well. That is CAG's first operator ban. What we saw on Chalet was a very unique castle plus a Sami ban, made it very hard to lock down any areas off the map. Curious to see if that's going to happen here again. E1, also same operator ban to start things off, with Monty respecting Anaton and CAG, saying we might like the Monty and Arthur, but we know that CAG, they're just a little bit more comfortable and arguably even a little bit better at that operator. They're taking the time here. Tick, tick, tick. Asami. Could it be a castle again? Just all same 4 operators? I don't know. We'll see. 3 and 2. Come on. Valkyrie. Okay,
Echo.
Okay, I would have never guessed Echo in my wildest dreams.
Well, if you watched Chalet, Echo was a staple operator for a variety of those bomb sites that E1 defended. And E1 played it very well. Arthur single-handedly saved 2 rounds on that Echo that I can remember, at least one that we saw right off the hop on that, what was it, second defense, I believe it was, downstairs. So, if you think it's a nuisance operator, and you look at a map like Cafe, well, maybe you get rid of the Echo because It's too much to deal with. You don't want to bring an IQ? You're not going to bring a Thatcher? All right, well, yeah, the yokais aren't invisible anymore, but
They're annoying still.
they are still annoying, and Echo still has good guns at his disposal, especially when you look at this bottom floor bomb site, or, well, main floor bomb site. I guess I have to say bottom floor now because it's technically it's in your continent.
Oh, you're changing it for my sake. Thank you. I mean, you're right. If you're banning out the Echo, often you have a different approach in mind. So you ban the Echo, you play the Pulse, or you play the Valkyrie, or the Solace here. They all serve that same kind of purpose, intel and verticality. And that's something that Cathay has that Chalet didn't have as much, playing a C4 below, the area above, almost every single round. And the big question for me is, will E1 start bringing out the IQ at some point if they get punished? Because they droned out the others this round. They lost 3 drones at least. They saw the Solus, that's for sure, but did they see the Pulse? If you didn't, well, could be in for a surprise. Period C4, scanner goes out, yellow pings, timing, communication. If this lands, again, it was a spawn peek on Chalet, C4 goes out, it's red and taken out by STK. So no fooling around here like on Chalet to start things off. It's a 5v5, at least the first 60 seconds.
No ACOG, by the way, on the UMP of Anitum.
No, you see this.
Or sorry, rather, sorry, I thought it was the castle.
Oh,
it's the
okay.
Pulse.
I was gonna
it's
say
the Pulse. It's the Pulse. I was wrong.
Yep. Castle
Everybody
has
relax.
it. Pulse does it. It's
Everybody
awesome.
cool it.
I know my game.
Not everybody knows everything.
But you're right. You actually caught yourself there. It's very so. Yeah. Castle UMP does have the ACOG, as Parker said here. Pulse does not, but same weapon. Can be a bit confusing sometimes, but you're right. Holo has to be at least a 1x scope on the Pulse here. One C4 went down from Black Ray on the mute. Second one, of course, in the pocket of Anderton's Pulse. But you see E1 here, they're very decisive and relatively quick inside the building so far. A much better look already now than on Chalet. But can they do anything with this? They get the opening pick, jump out, punished.
Not just punished, but immediately 2 kills from E1. The only answer back from Shiraniko. Chibisu also there for the 1-2 punch.
Scanning.
The Pulse is still on the board, along with the Solus. Yeah, losing the smoke is pretty bad, but you've now got the advantage in terms of numbers. STK and Amps, the last 2 remaining. Only 1 kill between the 2 of them.
That right there is when you go, guys, we gotta bring the IQ. Like, that's ridiculous, right? You get a guaranteed C4 kill like that, 3v2 on favor, STK jumps down alone, no trade possible, doesn't die though, nobody goes to the swing. E1, go back upstairs, destroy the floor, you got the bug and the ram. The issue is, when you stop planting, only one person can cover as the other person is busy holding F on his keyboard. That's when CAG should strike, in that 3v1, not right now in the 3v2. See if they can do it. Ems, of course, no diffuse on hand. That's STK upstairs. They might both have to drop here, which is less than ideal.
Attackers have dropped the bomb diffuser. Attackers have recovered.
Not a lot of time for E1 to pull this one off. Ems will be the first one in. Flashes from STK to follow up, and his eyes are on the Solus down below. STK spotting Aniton. Where is Chibisu? As Ems is able to pull off the diffuser successfully. It's a bit of a sloppy set of coverage from CAG. It looked almost unthinkable that they'd be able to win this round. It's still very winnable, but they made it a lot more difficult by not getting into the bomb site quicker. STK outdueled by Shiraniko on the stairs. Shiraniko with full HP. It wasn't a very hard fight for him. Bit of a scare, but CAG persevere in round number 1. And right now, if you're in the Japanese team's seat, you're looking at the fact that there's only 6 rounds separating you from another match tomorrow where you will still be in that hot seat. But you'll be a few inches away from Doomsday.
I think if you're E1, you just gotta stop planting. I know it sounds simple, but just go for kills, because they have a 0% success rate in post-plant situations, which is awful. In Siege, I think on average, when you plant down a diffuser, depending on the team you are, the map, whatever, you have like a 75 to 85% average in that range of numbers chance to win. They've planted twice, they have lost both times, and it wasn't even that close. It's a 2v1, or CAG, despite being kind of wonky when the plant was going down, they figure things out, they hit their shots, they play together on the good timings, and they win the round. E1, they started off strong in that round, but then CAG, they had the answers immediately. The run out on the white staircase downstairs to punish the rappel. The C4 from Pulse when they rappelled into the upstairs portion of Cocktail, and then the run just kind of falls apart. The real big issue here as well is E1 had the diffuser upstairs, and they were forced to both drop down to then get it planted. Whereas ideally, you have one guy stay above for Overwatch that can see all the areas, and the other guy planting it down. E1 small mistakes with massive consequences, and again, I'm not surprised with that coaching staff reaction after they lost Chalet, because they're thinking, what are we doing? At least they got the IQ here. Good operator pick, a messy aim fight, but Perez gets the kill onto Shurip. That's Solis off the board.
Chibisu almost losing his head as well now inside of Dining. It's a big gamble for a smoke to re-aggress, but Chibisu might find that he's trapped in this position. He does have the hatch to escape if he wants, but decides to re-engage. Maybe not the right decision there. He could have just hit the hatch and gone for a rotate down below, but I'm not entirely certain why the smoke opted to fight instead. Two very important operators from CAG lost, and E1 finds themselves in a very favorable position with 2 minutes left.
But this is classic Perez. Like, when we see him thriving and playing well, he is quick on the entry, he is inside the building. The only downside is that he's doing it while playing IQ. If he had lost that initial gunfight, that's a massive blow to your operator lineup. Maybe not the biggest issue in this round. It's like a Solis and Tubrow and Kaida, the only operators they can do something against. But still, you want to have that IQ scanner available throughout the entirety of this round if possible. Right now, poor Shironico. He is stuck, he's being droned out, there's like 3 people coming for him. Somebody help this man, please, because if not, he will fall.
Just a hail of bullets now on this main floor. The Track Stingers will box Black Ray out of this position. No real path back to the bomb site, at least not on those stairs. Every single player from E1 alive, but not just that, not a single one of them has taken a single point of damage. A very impressive round up to this point from E1, dare I say it, the best round that we've seen from them in this matchup so far.
Yeah. You'd be right about that. And they can just, you know, take their... Oh, well, you jinxed it. Well, it's fine, though. Perez still got it. It's gonna get
CAG didn't get the kill, by the way.
No, they didn't.
I don't know what Anaten was doing there. Black Ray as well in a bit of an odd position. Never interrupt your opponents when they're making a mistake. It's an old adage in politics, but I suppose it applies in a lot of other circumstances as well, and certainly here. Lots of mistakes being committed by CAG, and E1 was quite happy to just sit back and watch it unfold. What was the smoke doing upstairs? Can we talk about that?
Can we talk about the smoke real quick? I mean, they both overstayed, but because Shironico and Tubaru shortly after also felt like he was stuck inside of train room. So, one is stuck in dining, hatch is open. One is stuck in train room. Well, there is no hatch, you gotta walk over to dining. But it's really awkward when you lose the initial gunfight and you have 2 players stuck on the roam that don't really want to be there. And the issue with Cafe is, especially with that kitchen bomb site, there's only 2 ways up and down. Well, there's a hatch, but that doesn't work both ways. The right and red staircase, and once the attackers, they take that room control from top down, you cannot really walk on those staircases as a defender. They're watched by a drone, by a nomad air jab, or of course by a live player from the attacking side. So, when you surrender those players on the roam and you know you can't help them, you're just giving away free bodies for your opponents, and that's not great. That's why most teams don't play kitchen and kitchen all that much these days, because it's a very limiting bomb site with very little flexibility in how you want to play it. Mining and dining, like we see right now, library dining, and of course a top 4 bomb site that has a little bit more depth you can play with in terms of how you want to play your operator lineup and where those player positions will be played at. Flash, for example, I mean, this is an operator that we see being played on occasion on a couple of maps. Not all that common on Cafe, but I can see the idea here. You're playing inside a piano, you slow things down, sap your opponents, and it's gonna feel almost impossible for E1 to take control of piano unless they can get some smart air tips down from Flash maybe to limit Clash's positioning inside that area of the map.
Shurip has not had a successful start to this map, but is doing so on operators that are of critical importance, and is now being boxed away by this drone. We've all been there. We've all had those struggles where actually hitting the drone proves to be far too much of a challenge. Press, meanwhile, making waves already in this second map. Finished quite strongly, but didn't really have as much value and impact as you would expect in map number 1. You need a much bigger game for him. All the while, through 3 rounds, STK is a kill off of matching his total from map number 1. Black Ray technically gets the first kill, but Arthur and Emps follow up immediately. Anaton and Black Ray sent to the Shadow Realm. Advantage for E1 as we hit the halfway point, round number 3.
And this is the thing, when you lose Clash so early and like you lose top 4 control in like 60 seconds, E1 they are ahead of the average pacing right now for this bomb site attack. They got the bug, they got the ram, they're gonna speed things up even more. And there's no easy ways back for CAG. No C4s below, for example. They have to now wait things to happen or go up those staircases that we spoke of earlier. That is just not really doable. So now it's a waiting game. E1, they have to make a mistake somewhere that CAG can punish to find a way back into this, because the bomb set itself isn't all that strong. It relies around the area. Lobby, fireplace, upstairs of course, a red staircase basement, or kitchen should I say side. We see right now E1, they're ripping apart the floor. They got long lines of sight and a good idea of where those clear positions are likely going to be at.
Knock, knock.
Giving yourself such an advantage early on allows you to settle in and figure out where you think your utility can go. E1 determining their next course of action, and Arthur's got just a few steps from making it into the bomb site. He'll do just that, but
15 seconds.
he's worried about being pushed from over towards Train. Sheer and Eco from down below will shred through Arthur. 10 seconds for somebody from E1 to go fetch that diffuser. Emps will do it. Up on the table. Is Emps the head of the table? That's the question. He feels quite secure in that spot, but at the end of the day, he's swiftly ended by CAG in a joint effort from the last 2 players, and there's poor coverage from E1 to ensure that somebody, anybody, has Emps' back. CAG takes the lead yet again. E1 on their own map, admittedly on maybe the more challenging side.
Yeah.
Has been unable to lead and has been tied or trailing through much of this series.
But I don't think it's so much about that they're playing the hardest side of attack. I think it's about how they're losing those rounds. I mean, in a round, when you break it down on the attacking side, you have your drone phase like right now. It's about finding out what the bomb site is, the rough general idea for their opponent. Are they playing the Mirror, for example? They're playing a Valkyrie, a Pulse, etc. When your enemy is playing Solace and you have not killed the Solace, and you attack in a bomb site that has verticality from below or above, you have to, have that checklist, because that's what Siege Protect is all about. You have a mental checklist. Okay, where is the site? What the operators? Have we killed, for example, the Maestro Evil Eye, the default cameras, all those like hundreds of different boxes. One of them is, have we checked for a C4 below or, for example, a Pulse or a Solace? Because you will die to a floor bang or an impact grenade if one of those operators is up and alive. And when it's E1's map pick off Cafe, when CAG, they were playing Solace last map and now here as well, you should be expecting and reading into this, but they aren't. They get open and kill, they got a Deimos, they got a Lion, great operators to get more kills in the round, and I think if you're E1, maybe play less for the objective and more about the kills, because planting down the diffuser just doesn't work.
Emps was an inch away from eating an entire skeleton key.
Oh.
That would have been bad. No damage is done though, but it's narrowly avoiding disaster. Shuri has been one of the first to die in every round so far, and well, that doesn't bode quite well for his team. If you're playing at a perpetual 4v5, it's eventually going to start to wear you down.
Yeah.
Unless, of course, you're G2 playing against Fnatic in a scrim in the Paris Major, and then all you need to do is have a monitorless, washed Swedish player.
He wasn't washed back then.
Sure he wasn't. Shiraniko hunted down by Perez SDK. Gone. As Black Ray dies. Every single player from E1 still upright. Anaton and Chibisu last remaining. Chibisu looking for the very first kill for his team this round. There goes Arthur. SDK will follow. Both in the grave. What do we say? A 5v3 is usually the scariest lead. How about a 5v2? Time for those death marks to go out, and it's Chibisu, the target for Flash Street. Knows that the castle's playing over towards Reading and will signal that to the rest of his team. Chibisu's just waiting out the mark. They know of each other. So Deimos being downstairs is information for Chibi-Su. Now playing on this ACOG angle by Pillar.
Oh.
Beautiful shot on the press. Hits the drive-by, repositions. Emps is holding on Repel, by the way. Flastry's the only one in the building. He's the one with the diffuser. He's once again got a read on Chibi-Su, who's playing time. Outdueling him. All 3 kills so far. Emps will need to repel on in, but you just need to play the waiting game at this point. The bullet tracers will signal that he's outside, and Anaton pre-firing away and sealing the deal. Sloppiness from E1 as they failed to convert on their advantage. It was a 5v2, and it becomes a 2v0 for CAG, and a very impressive hold. And the Japanese team up 3-1.
The mentality has gotta be absolutely in the gutter, and I think E1, fundamentally, they were doing the right thing. I just said the same myself. Stop playing for the plant objective and play for kills. And they get 3 of them so quickly, so effortless, with all 5 players alive. And it's not that simple as just play for kills no matter what. It's like, okay, when you get that 5v2, you cannot mess up a plant. You walk in from lobby into the library bomb site, you hold F, you have 4 players covering 2 different angles, the flank and the bomb site positions, and you get on the diffuser. You guaranteed win unless you absolutely choke your bullets. But instead, they followed the words play for kills very literally. They were chasing people in the 5v2, throwing their lives away, not trading, not droning. They didn't even use the Deimos, the tracker essentially, effectively. They're just using it, they're running around, and then Kaz will get both kills. Great shot by CAG. Great positioning, knowing where the line is in the sand to know, hey, now we're overstepping, hey, now we're fine. But that was a massive blunder from E1, more than it was a well-played round for CAG. And despite CAG winning the round, they called the tactical timeout. So this might be a guys, keep it up. They are feeling terrible right now. Catch them off guard, keep punishing them, make their lives miserable. This is, of course, Cafe defense. If CAG cannot attack, this will change on the side swap. But if you can build a big enough round lead or mental advantage, that can play a factor later on, because E1's confidence, it's probably in the basement of all areas right now, because they are losing rounds they have no business losing.
The basement? You mean the first floor?
See, it had to be on Cafe. It had to be on Cafe this happened. They're in the kitchen.
What if that was my laugh?
Then I would hate you more than I already do. No offense.
I didn't even know that was possible.
To hate you? I don't actually hate you.
We talked about it yesterday. I'm a professional hater.
Professional. You hate
I
other
take
people.
hating very serious.
He's a big hater, man. Nah. If you laugh like that, it'd be funny. I would laugh with you.
That would be a terrible laugh.
It would be a terrible laugh.
Cafe Dostoevsky has 2 plays prior to today.
That's not a lot.
Very challenging to get information on a map that has been played as infrequently as this one has. You and I actually referenced these numbers yesterday because we were talking about map picks. Border, only 1 play. Can you believe that?
Is that true?
That's what it says.
Oh, it is. Oh, it is true. Okay.
Action time.
Fair enough, I guess.
Cast that game. Why are you looking at me like that?
Because I'm thinking really hard. I'm thinking really hard if we did. I don't know. I don't. No, we did. We did actually cast it. We did.
Thank you.
Yeah, we did.
So here's the thing with Cafe. It is overwhelmingly
CAG
favored
played it. Yeah. Sorry.
against Scars.
Yeah. There you go.
Yes.
We did play it.
That's why I asked you that. It was a
Oh,
layup.
so you knew. Oh, you knew.
I asked it as a layup. See, while the killing begins, halfway through the round, STK with the very first pick here. Every now and then, not just us, but every pair will go to say something and ask a very easy question. And then people will be like, is this caster stupid? How do they not know that? And it's not that I don't know the answer. It's called a segue. I will give you a question that's easily answered. You'll explain it, and then it comes across as if it's genuine. Anaton next one in the line of fire after Shoe Reap dies. The Aldo with 44 bullets still remaining and some marks over towards Piano. I'll get back to the stats in a second because E1 have picked up the pace and done so in quite a hurry. Black Ray the lone kill for his team. Oh, Anaton swatted away, top white, and there goes Black Ray. Flastry seals the deal, the second round for E1. Now back to the numbers. Yes, it's only been played twice. And only 18 rounds through those 2 plays. However, it's 28% of those rounds have gone to the defenders. So, an incredibly attacker-sided map, and yet CAG has won 3 of the 6 defending rounds. It's entirely possible that CAG emerges from this first half up 4-2. Why is this important, though? And furthermore, with Cafe only having 2 plays, is it an accurate representation of this map? I would argue no, it's not.
No.
So the fact that it's only been played twice and only been played on 18 rounds, nowhere near enough for us to say with confidence, yes, CAG is obviously going to win this map. But the fact that CAG have picked up 3 rounds on this first half of their opponent's map is quite good by pretty much every metric.
Yeah.
If CAG can eke out a victory in this first half, and a 4-2 would be, I would say, eking it out at this point, they'll be set up really, really well for the second half. And I would be happy if I'm on CAG's coaching staff with those numbers. Both teams have their timeouts, by the way. So if things go from bad to worse in the second half, I suspect one or even both will call it to try to settle their teams down. Final round of this first half, final defense for CAG. E1 will look for the equalizer.
It's not just the fact that CAG, they've been winning rounds, but how they've won them as well, showing a good understanding of the flow of the map, because Chalet, Cafe, Third Man if we go there, Consulate, they all play in a very different way of how you approach it, the pacing, the areas, the operators, etc. And CAG, they sometimes look like a very one-dimensional team. They can play Oregon, they can play Chalet, you know, whatever, but showing that they're not like the best Cafe team in the world, but they're matching E1 right now on the enemy's map pick, and having really good decision-making and positioning is excellent from them. And it's not their strong suit typically, but it is right now. E1, I will say though, that previous one, they were very quick, they were very effective, and they actually won their gunfights for once. That's what we gotta see more of. But now they, again, slowed things down the attack, maybe expecting aggression from the side of CAG. They can punish you by holding those passive angles, but CAG are playing stuff like Maestro and Aruni and Warden. They're gonna sit downstairs near the bomb site and wait for that 5 versus 5 execute to happen most likely, given that other lineup. So maybe a misread here from E1, but it's not the end of the world. Kitchen to Kitchen is easier to attack than not.
Our beautiful observer, Easy, who has shaved off all of his luscious hair, was showing us the observation blocker setup down below, by the way. And I think this is something to note on because this is the second time they've laid these 2 secondary gadgets down. And it's being done so that if you drone, you're not going to get a good read on that back espresso bar, bomb site, freezer portion of the map. And if you've got somebody playing back there, a very common spot for a Maestro to play, whether they're going to have an Evil Eye there or just have themselves in that position. There you go. Look at these observation blockers. 3 of them, actually. And that's a good reason why. The Drone Hunter, Anaton, swatting away every piece of information that you see those drones use. Both Brava drones are down. 1 Twitch drone is down. Half of the drones are down. This is huge value. Smokes will go out now from STK, and I don't know if this is a bait or if they really want to drop with 35 seconds to go. It looks like it's the latter.
Gonna hit it, but the Evil Eye's a problem. They got the yellow pings. Can they destroy it? No. They have nowhere to destroy it, actually. It's getting spotted.
Not enough explosives to deal with it. Shiraniko blinded, jumping on over. CAG with 2 kills as they pounce on E1. Emps now to drop in the same direction over towards Freezer. Will he meet the same fate as his teammates? Perez holding down over towards VIP, but he doesn't have the vault on in. Chibisu hitting the run and gun over towards Whiskey, and now Emps will eventually die. Anaton getting it done with the Bailiff. Black Ray was dropped, but there's a reason why it's called down, but not out. 3 players remain from CAG as they hop on for the counter disable in the first half. 4-2 for the team that's already up 1-0. E1 will have their work cut out for them as they need at least 4 rounds in this second half, the same score that CAG just did, in order to go to overtime, or better yet, 5 rounds at minimum to seal the deal in regulation. This is the international debut for E1 as an organization and an international debut for this team as well. And despite the fact that they finished second in arguably the best region in the world right now, they might be going home. And later today, they might be joined on that flight by Team Liquid, who will be fighting for their lives against Space Station in yet another elimination game.
E1 also keep their 100% lose rate when they plant down the diffuser on the attacking side. 3 times. Once in Chalet, twice here in Cafe, they've planted it down and still lost the round. Sure, in that previous one, it was like a 1 versus 3. Of course, they're not going to win that one, but still, they don't win when they play for the objective, it seems. E1 also, I checked the statistics there on the utility usage. They had IQ with a spare grenade the entire time. IQ who could have used the scanner to see there was still an evil eye up and alive on the bomb side, or you could have used the Maestro evil eye that they hacked with the Brava cam and turn it a bit to see that same evil eye. Then you could have called the IQ over, hey, we need a grenade, soft destruction for this camera. They didn't. So again, E1, they're missing these very small details where they have the information, they have the utility to like deal with it, to clear it out, but they don't do it. Lack of communication, lack of understanding, lack of, I guess, knowing what the steps should be. I'm not entirely sure, but it's why they're struggling so much on the attacking side. Defense, this could also be a problem. Let's say they want to set up piano hold. If somebody forgets gadgetry or doesn't play the position correctly, they will also fall in those crucial positions. So they gotta show us now that their strats on paper, their setups fundamentally are well designed in nature, or they will have the exact same issue here on defense.
Really rough first half for Shureep as he played on those roaming operators and was ineffective at picking up kills, and often played on very high-value utility operators as well. So it's not just about the kills, but in this round, I guess it is Shureep eliminating Arthur and Humidor.
It's a great bait.
That's what you call the box where the cigars are, by the way.
That is the box where the cigars are, cigar box. But a great bait there.
Or Humidor.
Humidor. As a foreigner, not gonna happen.
Well, you also say Rappel.
I say rappel more often than not. Now I try to at least. Rappel in the window, not rappel in the window.
We're watching progress happen.
Work in progress indeed. But it's a mini execute. Chibisu with the florist drone baited Arthur away from that Humidor. And then when he came back, Shureep had the ankle. Freebie kill.
You mean cigar box?
Cigar box. That's the one.
Black Ray's been downed as we saw the upside down rappel from Chibisu trying its best to eliminate STK. E1 slaughtering CAG on their advance. The only player who successfully got in the building is Shureep. Shiraniko droning him in, but STK entrenched in this position. Not enough explosives on the piano door to get any real ground. Now it's up to Shiraniko. This is a rough spot to be in. An unenviable position. As you got 4 angry players from E1 looking to close the gap. Over towards New Hatch. Tracers going in multiple directions, and Flastry over in heaven. Tucked away behind the counter will pop up and end the round with just a couple bullets. E1, 1 round away from drawing even.
Not entirely sure what the plan was there for CAG, because I think they achieved the arguably most difficult step for most teams, get red staircase control with Cigar. Because the first kill that should have gotten that round was the Cigar player. It was a castle barricade on towards Piano, so Cigar is absolutely free for the taking, but they died elsewhere on the map, and then when they went into Cigar, well, guess what? E1 had rotated into Piano, taken those lines of sight, and denied the entry that they had gained earlier, so I don't want to call it sloppiness, but maybe indecisiveness from CAG, not really knowing like which side to attack because they had weakened one side but not the other. By the way, that's the first attacking round. It's a lot about feeling out your opponent, how they're going to play it, what kind of vibe they're bringing. It's going to be like the early aggression, the utility, for example, the verticality with C4s. And E1, you know, given that this is their map pick, they should have different ways to approach these rounds if they start struggling. That first one was a set uphold in Piano and Cigar with utility, castle barricades, Mightis, etc., reinforcing player positions. This one is more about the more, you know, player damage utility, the Goyo canisters, the C4 from post below, toxic babes from the smoke, plant deny for example. So CAG gotta worry a bit more about the timer this time around and just try and get into the building at a decent pace, progress throughout the building. They got Dokebi, they got Amaru, they could go fast if they want to, but they have to find a gap somewhere to enable those operators to go fast.
I watched how ineffective that entry was from CAG, and I now see that they're bringing in Amaru, and I just scratch my head. You're really going to gamble your 1-round lead on an Amaru? But mind you, the last time that I cast or cursed a team, I said that it was unwinnable for NJR, and he...
Literally.
Well, history was made. So I'm willing to be wrong. I've been wrong before. I'll be wrong again. Slow on the Amaru, though. A lot of times we will see teams take the Amaru downstairs into kitchen and then slingshot up the hatch into dining. Nico's just going to run right in. Sees a few shots. STK's playing above. He hasn't been thrown down. Even though he was nearsighted, Nico takes down Arthur. Emps greets Shoe Wreath. There's Chibasu, destroyed on the stairs. Perez yet another kill, and oh my, CAG are in a bit of trouble. Empt sealing the deal. E1 barely even moving on these defenses.
This is a classic cafe attack problem when you're not like a cafe team. On Chalet, that kind of push absolutely works. There are so many, I guess, room for error. There are room for gaps, room for missed timings. On Cafe, it is very tight. You have one angle missed, a smoke grenade goes wide, you don't flashbang in the right position, you will die because it's a very compact, small map. You know, you run into the building, you get Fenrir mined, you're getting pulse scanned, there's a guy above you with verticality, and if one of those three things is not covered, you will die. That's what we saw right there. Yeah, he killed the pulse on the bomb side, but guess what? There's a Fenrir right above him who trades. So CAG will find themselves locked out, and you gotta break that lock. Usually by doing very quote-unquote boring, basic 1, 2, 3 step Rainbow Six Siege, where, okay, we want to take, for example, that previous bomb site of Library. Most teams will go top floor. Red staircase into piano, you push the white hallway, you push the cocktail bar, they try and C4 you from below, maybe you survive, you take top floor, you break the floor, you go downstairs, you try and plant. That's how most teams approach it. Of course, you can't go for rush like they tried, but any gap will be punished very easily by the defenders. Same for this kitchen and kitchen bomb site, like E1 is doing. You go top floor, you roam clear, you break the floor, you drop the hatch, you try and plant. Cafe is just a very restricting map and how you have to approach it, almost similar to Oregon, where you don't have a lot of options that are actually good on paper. Perez saw the head there, didn't go for, oh. Okay, Chibisu also saw his head.
Well, you said he didn't see the head. I guess that's technically correct.
It's a nice kill.
It is.
Now they're gonna fly in the building. Now, they got the early kill. That buys them basically 25 or so seconds because getting a kill is essentially also buying time. They can now go a little bit slower. They already have that advantage. They don't gotta work for it now. Drone out the building, lock down the 3 staircases, enable the Bach and the Ram to do their job of breaking the floor apart, and then choose to go for a hatch drop or, of course, a bakery take. The big win condition for CAG here, they got the OSA. You can bring out that talent shield, drop down the hatch, and bullets will not take you out. The only real counter here is the toxic babes from Arthur, 3 in pocket. Outside of that, no C4s, and those impact grenades likely won't reach the plant position to deny that talent shield from CAG.
Big turnaround from STK in this second map. Was it 3 kills on Chalet, and now over double that. So they got 7. Also playing these high-value operators like Lamai. One more magnet to come. Just past the halfway point. The advantage that was hard-earned for CAG has already evaporated. It's been an excellent start to the second half for E1, but the tertiary bomb site is where things tend to go awry. I wouldn't say we're at that point just yet, but E1 down 1 can be a comfortable position. Plenty of utility still remains for CAG. Flashes, grenades, smokes, and those 2 talent shields from Anaton as well.
They got that second step done right now. The preparation to bomb site, break the floor, and try and find those clear positions. The only issue right now is Emps is hiding inside a kitchen, and of course you see the feet of the player right here. That's like the Arthur, yep, with those toxic babes. He's in a spot to deny the plant. 35 seconds left now. CAG time is slowly slipping away here. They've popped the Goyo canisters. They're waiting for the fire. Once it disappears, they're gonna drop down and try and enable Anaton on the OSA to get that bomb planted.
Flashtree's gonna have 1 to 2 bullets to get this kill. If he misses, there they go. There's the drop. He's actually missed both somehow. Flashree just doesn't see it. Chibisu dies. There's the diffuser in the hands of Anaton. The smoke misses as well. Toxic canister. Looks like it might be tickling him. Anaton pulls it off. Not a single point of damage done. All the damage that he takes is after he bails out of that position. Emps hops on it immediately. Anaton will need to do some serious work. They need to shut Emps down as he's getting the disable off. And CAG can't do it. The cojones from Emps to steal the round and get on the case right under the noses of CAG gives E1 their first victory of this round, first lead of this series.
Fun fact, in this best of 3 so far, not as either team has planted down the diffuser and won the round. You plant, you lose. That's how it goes. And I will say, CAG, they played things almost perfectly. Step 1, roam clear. They got the anti-spawn peek, got the opening kill. Step 2, prep the bomb site. Destroy the soft floor, drone the bomb site, find those positions, drop down with the OSA. Step 3 is get down the diffuser and play the post plant. Only one small issue. When you plant behind the bomb site chassis, you can't really see that diffuse from above as comfortably, so you have to swing the freezer door, and that's where we saw the problem come, because Ems was so quick to say, guys, I found a gap here, I can go to the defuse, just cover me, trust me, we got this. No hesitation whatsoever. E1 looking more and more alive in these rounds, and if CAG, if there was one round they really should have won on the attacking side so far, it would have been that kitchen to kitchen, because they got the opening pick, and it's such a simple bomb set to pick apart. Small things though, from both these two teams, costing them round sometimes, and neither team able to play around the post plant so far in 2 maps.
Get a good look at that.
Must be a devastating round for E1, and a bit surprising that we don't see the timeout called from CAG.
CAG called it after they won the 2v5.
Oh, that was it.
Yeah. It was very brief. I think we were both looking at other things when it happened, but it's like they won the round, then called the timeout, which doesn't make sense either. So, and that's the thing, like, now you wish you had the timeout for your attacking side, because that's kind of where I think it will be hard for CAG given their struggles.
Teams should get a timeout on each half, yes or no?
Yes. I like the idea, because then it's not a choice or a sacrifice, but also, I can also argue that no, but then increase the round count a little bit maybe, or do, what about this? 3 halves. 3 round defense, 3 round attack, same scoreline. Because right now the 6-0 halves, so starting 6 rounds on one side, can be problematic on map balancing sometimes in certain metagames.
Or you just shorten the length of the timeouts as well if you're going to do 2 of them.
That's correct.
Oh my. Perez dies early yet again. CAG had things going for them in the previous round, but fumbled it. That round ended with over half of the lobby still involved in action. Shuri Bananaton quite damaged, but still alive.
Attackers recovered the bomb.
Supporting cast for E1, showing up quite effectively. Empt, 6-3. STK, 8-6. And Emps will find a 7th kill on Anaton. Shiraniko in and amidst the fire by Anaton. Oh my.
Lemao?
Laughter from 2 separate players from E1 will almost certainly get under the skin of the CAG squad. Well, they're doing all right in the first half. But this is why I said you can't believe those numbers when it comes to Cafe. Because even then, we'd think, oh, this is surely an attacker-sided map. But those are only 18 rounds. The defenders excelling. Arthur dies to Shuri. Still alive. Only one of the 2 pairs remaining as Anaton had died earlier. Final 30 seconds. Smoke will clear on this bomb site. Chibisu drops now down to New Hatch. Not far removed from the Brava of Shuri. Black Ray's been quite quiet, taking a lot of damage, distracting, but they've got information on one in back bar. No safety for Shuri to get the diffuser down, gets off of the plant, takes matters into his own hands. There's been a drop, and Black Ray gets the final 2 kills. Coming up big when his team needs it. Tie game yet again.
Good read by CAG. It did not look clean at first, saying, okay, you gotta cover 3 different positions, maybe verticality as well, but they had good drone information. We saw those red pings at the end of the round saying they had long bar information, they had piano information, their flank was covered. They only had to actually worry about 2 separate angles, and they had 2 players to cover. It was a 3v3. So well done, the problem-solving skills there from CAG and E1. The only thing they could have really done better is have what I call multiple win conditions. And what I mean by that is that their win condition is, of course, to deny the plant. horizontally. They're holding it upstairs, but you can add a second win condition by also denying it vertically. Having a player in piano, either with a yellow ping information, or a C4, or live info like a Valcam, Maestro, Evil Eye, or a Pulse Scanner for example, or Solace here, can just give you another layer of how to deny the opponents from finding victory. So E1 playing a little bit simple, I would say, with CAG they're good against. When they know what they're up against, when everything makes sense to them, they can deal with their problems. When E1 do this stuff that's a bit abstract and you're thinking, what is happening right now? That's when CAG does struggle the most. So I think for E1, try and set up more difficult problems to tackle to counter CAG's more simple approach to the game stylistically. And so far it's been a bit of 50-50 because now we do see E1 bring out that kind of firepower. Pulse verticality, Goyo canisters, the castle barricades, all things that CAG now had to worry about and deal with, which is why they're playing the Twitch. They're playing soft destruction.
Such a ballsy place for Flash 3 to be. Bottom white.
Breach charge.
He's chilling.
Breaching.
Delivery door gets shot through, knows somebody's there, and now secondary hard breach don't get used all that often. You see teams usually bringing those sets of nades, whether they be the frag grenades, flash grenades, or smoke grenades. Black Ray will use all three and has effectively neutralized Empt's castle barricades single-handedly.
Deploying heartbeat sensor.
Deploying heartbeat sensor.
Yeah?
Do you think Canadian hears that in his sleep sometimes with all the amount of posts he's played over the years? Deploying cardiac sensor.
I've said it.
Is there a pulse line that Canadian hasn't heard? That's the
There's
question.
no. I mean, to be fair, most pros play dialogue volume off, so they might not even hear it at all, but because we see the quizzes sometimes with dialogue options, and they're like, I don't know who says that. It's like, you play this game like thousands of hours. It's like, I got dialogue volume off. My bad. Do better. Know it all if you're a pro player. Come on. Calm before the storm here. Only thing is Arthur and the Pulse getting so much value because he can scan all the areas and say that's clear, that's not clear. And I like this from CAG. They're burning the Goyo canisters first to switch drone. Then when they want to go for the push, they actually free to. But oh, that's dangerous.
Oh! What? CAG loses two in very quick order. Flastry and Perez. The kills for E1. Goodbye to your Capital, goodbye to your Grim, and now goodbye to your Buck. Maybe saying goodbye to the round in just a second. The first kill for CAG, but Flashtree answers back. Chibisu will now need to ace clutch. But Perez is there on the flank, and E1 will move to map point. Consulate looking like a much more certain than it was just a couple rounds prior.
That's what I mean. CAG, when things don't make sense to them, they struggle so much with what they need to do next. And they did a good job initially. They used the Twitch to pop the Goyo canisters, but then they ran face first into the fire, and they got Fenrir nearsighted, and then they got C4 below. Like, everything basically went wrong for CAG instantaneously, where if you just wait 10 more seconds, the fire's gone, you drone top floor, you get that kill upstairs, then you have about 50, 60 seconds to work with. That's fine. You're not in a stressful hurry here. You can still play out the round if you have top floor control, but you need to get the first step before going to the second step. So don't stress it too much. CAG, they're down on match point. They can't really attack on Cafe. We realize that, all of us watching right now. So they might as well go for something different. Maybe, possibly. They're showing us the glass for a brief moment. Now back onto Capital, unfortunately. I would like to see them just try and go for something here. If they feel like it's right, if they have a pocket strat cooked up, so to speak, where it's a one-round kind of deal. If they win it, it would take them into overtime territory where they can turn things around. It becomes a best of 3 in round count at that point. But instead of a glass, it becomes a gridlock. Still cause a bunch of noise generation with the gadget. They have 4 grenades, which a year ago would have been phenomenal here in Cafe, but nowadays you can't cook those frag grenades any longer. So the value is just to clear out barbed wire, razor blooms, Fenrir traps, frost mats, whatever utility that it might be. E1, they're spawn peeking on match point.
Why not?
Go for it.
CAG has only been able to muster a single round on attack. I said 4-2 was the most likely scoreline, but if E1 could beat that number and do 5 rounds on this defending side, no overtime would be required. I mean, you could probably speak from experience here. The nerves of going into OT with your life on the line. Well, I mean, Admittedly, you so seldom were in that position.
Didn't happen very often.
Nade goes out by Shiraniko. Say goodbye to Flastry. And now the upside down rappel, very hard to beat for these defenders. The perspective of the attackers means they'll see you before the defenders see you on rappel.
You're right, though. Risk assessment changes when things are on the line because the risk of losing becomes very dire. But CAG, they stick to the guns, and they're winning so far in this round.
Chibisu has another onto STK. Now it's E1 looking like the pressure might be getting to them. Ooh. Shurip could get another as Arthur creeps up. Not far removed. And there it is. 2 kills from Shurip. Emps has had a great game so far, but he's got the Frost shotgun. Probably the worst gun that you could be put in this position with. But not a flawless round, by the way, for CAG. These teams have been able to get at least 1 kill. Round by round by round, CAG keeps their hopes on this map alive, but they've got quite a buffer. Even if they lose here, we go to a 3rd map. They're still in the game. The stakes are not the same for E1. If E1 falters, that's it. Their tournament is over. The number 2 team seeded in Brazil will go home. Over on the other stream, by the way, Team Bliss and Team Secret doing battle. In the very first map, it was Team Secret to take the first map.
Do you know the score by chance?
I don't remember what the score was. I didn't see it. I only walked by and saw that Team Secret had won. Okay. While we were in the break between these 2 maps, Guz, our friendly Australian caster, tweeted out that with the maps, he didn't really have high hopes for Bliss, and he thought that the only way for Bliss to win would be a 2-0. If Team Secret can win 1 map, it's almost certain that they would win the series. We'll see if Guz is correct. Miss you, Guz. Wish you were here. Worth noting that that is a promotion match. That is not an elimination match.
But
the loser sticks around. The winner becomes our very first team to clinch a spot in the playoffs and earns themselves a 3-day vacation.
That's
They'll
pretty
be
nice,
off tomorrow,
actually.
they'll be off Wednesday, they'll be off Thursday. They'll be back in action on Friday for
That's
one of the
huge,
quarterfinals.
actually.
It's massive.
Yeah. Normally, you can just do prep work, watch the games, like, re-energize, because, like, it's a long tournament if you're going to be here till the end, so, yeah. Also, with that round being won by CAG previously, that's the first round where a plant went down and the team that planted won. It was a 5v1 when it happened, but still, statistically speaking, they broke the norm. They won after planting.
And if you think about it, if CAG had maybe not gotten that plant in kitchen down quite so hastily that allowed Emps to jump on it right away, this series could be over. CAG could have walked away with a 2-0 victory.
Absolutely.
But we would have, could have, should have as much as we want. At the end of the day, the scoreline is 6-6. Hypotheticals will do us no good and will certainly do the teams no good. Just like them, we need to mentally reset. For these 3 overtime rounds, CAG will be on attack twice. E1 on defense twice. That's excellent for E1. This is their map. Defense has been objectively the better side so far. 4 of the 12 rounds won by the attackers, 8 by the defenders. Will that pattern hold here in overtime? We'll find out. Approaching the halfway mark of this very first round of OT, it's been very limited action so far.
Yeah, I think CG trying to figure out, okay, what's step number 1? They see the player of Thorn Arthur inside a piano, or cigar rather, with that Castle Barricade prep behind, and a deployable shield in front. But they're not sure what to do about it. I mean, you can repel on the south side, Ash Charge, take him out. Arthur now very smartly walks in front of the shield to now have second layer of coverage. And, of course, has that shotgun primary in pocket as well, so he's gonna drop. He spawned almost 2 minutes of time, soft destruction, and 5 attackers' attention, and they've got nothing from this.
If you recall, this was the very first site that E1 went to on their defense, and CAG did terribly at dealing with those castle barricades. They did not have an answer for it whatsoever. Arthur only had that shotgun in hand, so unless it's a close range engagement, he can't do much. He dies. 3 and 10 for Arthur. Back to those bad numbers that we saw yesterday, and back to being well below his average. This could be a suicide jump from CAG as they look for both of these smokes of Anaton's crossbow to try and conceal their efforts. But a pocket EMP first. There are magnets on the board. There it goes. Smokes will drop. Black Ray eliminating Flastry. Fires to go off to isolate back bar, and Anaton not dropped just yet, waiting for the rest of the team to get in there. Emps now inside a freezer upstairs. Perez the first person to strike on E1. Only 20 seconds to go. If you're CAG, you've got to quicken the pace a little bit. STK still looking from long range. He's got Shoe Reap lined up, now moving over towards that new hatch. Shoe Reap looking for some safety. Diffuser in hand. STK gunning down Black Ray, traded right back. Perez attempts to jump in. It's all up to Perez, but he's nowhere close. Diffuser goes down. A 14th kill for Perez. Get him some help. Shiraniko and Shoe Reap remain. Shoe Reap had a bad start to this map, but he's quickened it up. Both he and Shiraniko looking to go positive. Trying to take down the raid boss that Perez has been. As the timer continues to run, and it's Shiraniko to find the kill and dumbfound E1. Now, on series point, it's CAG to go to the better side. 1 round away from sending E1 back to Brazil.
They're looking better and better as time goes on. They're a learning cafe in front of our very eyes. CAG did a fake execute. I was thinking, where's the plan? It's not happening. The fire, the smoke goes out, the flashbangs, and E1, they were trying to react to what they thought was the actual execute. But CAG, they waited out the pre-fires, the C4s, etc. And then later on, without any utility, they just used the numbers. And I will say, that plant cover was beautiful. Such a selfless act from the players of CAG saying, I'm not the one planting, my life doesn't matter, I need to be a wall, I need to block bullets and try and get kills, and if that plant goes down, we're gonna be okay. They get the 2v1 post plant, and once again, they are successful at playing the post plant by fighting back against Perez, who yes, 14 kills on his side, but Chibisu also sitting nicely on 11. And now CAG go on defense. It's been a long while, so maybe they gotta refigure out mentally, okay, defending, attacking, it's a little bit different here, but it will be a change-up. Fireplace, the side they log in, they can choose any of those 4 playable bomb sites. I like this choice, frankly I do. One thing we've not seen that much of though, which is a surprise to me, is a lack of mirror from both teams. It was played in like 1 or 2 rounds if I recall correctly, but with these arbiter bands of like Monty and Asami for example, I just expected a little bit more Valkyrie and a little bit more Mira, or one or the other at least. It's been mostly stuff like Pulse in that department. Seen a lot of Castle, for example, which isn't bad by any means. It's just a different approach. CAG gonna keep things mostly the same as before. No massive changes here. Vindicate Claws might be the one big like, okay, what's that about? Try and keep some of those walls intact. Slow down E1, and of course you get those lovely C4s in pocket to use at some point in the round if you have information on a weak opponent droning in the wrong spot, standing on the wrong kind of soft floor. And E1, they will do what they do best. They try and play those early duels. Deimos in action from Flash Tree to haunt the defender. Try and get that opening pick first.
It's an early run out from Anaton. Did not find anything out on the balcony through reading doorway. Doesn't matter the competition, Perez has really stood out.
Yeah, he has.
He's looked good in his home region of Brazil against some of the best gunners in the entire game. I mean, if you were to put together a top 10 list of players in Brazil, it would be a hell of a challenge.
Changing mag.
You've got Palu, you've got Nesk, you've got Maya. That's just on Liquid.
You got all of Fury.
You've got all of Fury.
All of FaZe.
You've got all of FaZe.
Top 10 in the world might just be mostly Brazil, actually, in general.
The fact that Perez has been playing out of his mind through the entirety of Stage 1, and now he's doing the same here. Quite impressive, but it's a team game. One player is not able to carry the way you can in other esports.
Oh, he missed. Oh, he didn't see him.
Shiraniko now being hunted down. Engaging with Flash Tree. This is a very gutsy play, and it could determine the fate of this round. More damage being done, isolating him with the grenade. The one thing the P90 is working for is the sheer number of bullets. Some of them find Flash Tree, but not enough. CAG suffering their very first loss of the round, but they've burned a lot of time in the process.
I was gonna say, time here is a big deal, and also 1 frag grenade, some flashbangs was used as well in the chaos there, and he killed a couple of drones, only 5 left on side of E1, so not a good trade, but worthy, honestly, in this scenario. And again, in overtime, attackers tend to go a little bit slower. That risk assessment, not wanting to risk it all in case you're not going to lose the entire series. And for E1, you're going to go home. So they need this to work out, but they also need to seek out those opportunities and go for those gunfights because they are on the attack. 48 seconds left. They gotta approach this top floor, clear out those roamers, do the soft destruction, then hit the side. But time is slipping away, and they only have a small man advantage.
Well, I think you made a very good point about the fact that it's been a while since they defended. You can't just get comfortable on this side.
Oh.
And it's CAG now taking no prisoners as they storm towards the bomb site. They found 3 players from CAG. Shoe Reap and Black Ray remaining. Perez annihilating Shoe Reap upstairs, and now it's Black Ray, the last player, and he's got a big old Deimos mark on him.
Oh.
Finished off by Perez. Not a flawless round, but as close as you can get, and this second map will go all the way.
Yeah, that's the tricky part sometimes, and it's been so long since you've been on a certain side of the coin. And again, CAG, they're a team that has to adjust to their environment, and it took them a long time to get comfortable on the attack, but they looked better with every single attempt. If they still have that, they haven't flipped that switch to defense just yet fully, they can still win out here on 7-7. The thing is, for E1, they have 3 bomb sites to choose between. In fact, 4, because they lost that first attempt on defense, and this is where being a player can be very difficult, because you don't really plan for, guys, what do we do if it's 7-7, it's the final defense round? You don't prep for this. So you sit there, you have maybe 20-30 seconds to discuss as a team where you're gonna go, which strat you're gonna use, and why you're gonna go there. And I've been there before myself with Fabian, where he says, let's go top floor. I say, no, let's go basement, for example. And then you have to make your point very quickly, or someone has to make that ruling saying, we do this. There's no time to argue. There's no time to discuss what is better, but you have to make sure you're on the same page as a team, and you commit to that same idea, and just try your best to execute it, even if you individually might not feel the strongest about that idea. For E1, it's kitchen to kitchen. I think that's very risky, but again, they had this thing where they're hiding certain operators, like the Kaid. That could catch CAG off guard, because they don't have the IQ to scan for that Kite Claw. Do you have a Blitz though? That could be a different way for them into this round.
I mean, there's been no real shield play, which is actually quite surprising for both of these teams. Arthur favors shields on a lot of these maps, absent through most of E1's attacks. CAG loves to bring shields. They've been absent in this matchup. And frankly, it's been quite surprising, but maybe they just think that because shields are so common in Brazil, just as they are in Japan for the record, that maybe E1's uniquely prepared for it. So if you bring a more conventional lineup, you can actually do some more damage than you would if you brought any of those shield operators on. But with the matchup on the line, the one player who's had the most struggles in this map for CAG will rock an operator that is very much do or die.
Yep, Hannington on the Blitz. And of course, the Monty ban plays a part into this, because Monty's the easier shield operator to play on Cafe, but Blitz is very strong right now with the shield rework. C4 goes wide. That could have been a phenomenal kill into Bug if it happened, but no. And the big thing to note here, CAG are way ahead of the average time to roam clear. Plus, they have a surprise factor off the Blitz. The one thing I thought here was Arthur and Kai could maybe try and trick this hatch, but that didn't happen. So, all of a sudden, that Kai that they hit for so long in the prep phase doesn't find any true value for the hatch area at least, and now he wanna back to a default kitchen-to-kitchen hold, but the one big difference is Flash 3 on Smoke is not playing on the side to deny the plant. He's playing sort of VIP on the back portion. That means the bomb site itself has no way to stop a plant, as there's no longer C4 available.
We've seen this a couple times in this tournament, by the way, where you hide a Blitz by putting the shield on your back, and then just crouch walking along with the pistol. Because you don't make the same sound. You don't know that there's a shield coming.
Here it comes.
So where will Hannington go? Shield out in front of his eyes, and immediately pouncing on the smoke!
No idea.
Flattening him. Flash 3's dead. CAG 4 kills away. Now it's Chibisu leading the charge up through Whiskey. Looking long range. They suspect there's one playing by stairs. STK eliminating Sheer and Nico. Down goes the Nomad. Both of these teams fighting for their lives. CAG has another opportunity. Black Ray saving Chibisu, and now it's Hannington running on in. A huge round. It's all up to Arthur. The Kaid that they had kept concealed will hop over, confront the shield, and get chipped away at as CAG circles the wagons and sends E1 home.
I think for CAG, Chalet started their story that they are back mentally to be a team that we know and love. They are aggressive, they are unpredictable, and it did take a while on Cafe to find their footing, but they figured out their attacks and showed us that they are here to stay, and they will send E1 home, which is a pretty big surprise. And for E1, they came into this thinking that they were hot stuff. They got reality checked, I think, at the highest level of play. And they know now that back to the drawing board, they gotta go.
I mean, E1 even making the major was quite a surprise in and of itself. It's been said a lot, but needs to be repeated. This E1 team in Stage 1 only beat the bottom 4 teams. That was it. MIBR, Team Liquid, who was down there. All of these teams that were towards the bottom of the standings, E1 was the best of the worst, effectively. But then everything changed when they got to the playoffs. Stunning people by 2-0ing Black Dragons, who looked like they were going to make it.
Yeah.
And then stunning us by beating W7M 2-0, who also looked like they were going to make it. Every single time this team was written off in the playoffs, they flipped the script, and they come out as the second seed in the most competitive and dominant region in this game at the moment. It was a surprising result.
Yeah.
And maybe now it looks like E1 had a little bit of help from their friends in Brazil. They overachieved and they regressed by falling back down to earth at the spot that maybe they deserved before the playoffs began. But great experience to be gained here from E1. Some good looks on this team, but very obvious problems that they will hopefully address over the next couple months before Stage 2 begins. But it's not all about E1. CAG have survived today, but they have a long road to make it to the playoffs.
Yeah.
They're going to be back in action tomorrow and the next day if they survive that as well. But this is a team that yet again continues to leave our live events in the early groups. They've survived today, and it was a very impressive 2-0 for the Japanese squad.
And one big change for Blackray, he was the worst performing player for his team the first, 2 games here in Phase 2, and entered in the best of 3. Best performing player, 23-17. He changed everything around individually, and his team played around him beautifully to win this series.
Lowest rated player on CAG coming into this matchup, and boy oh boy, what a day to find another gear. CAG lived to see another day. E1 Sports, the first team sent home in Phase 2. We'll be saying goodbye to one more team today. SSG versus Team Liquid. It could be another Brazilian team boarding a plane tomorrow.
Yeah.
Or maybe we see the Americans go home. One more matchup today. We'll be back with more Rainbow Six soon. Sit tight.